All right, welcome back to Finding Truth Podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan back at it again, another week, another Sunday in the books. Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in. Exciting news. We will have a guest here briefly. I will be sending him the invite here just shortly. So hopefully we will, everything's in order. I know potentially there could be some microphone issues, but hopefully that doesn't happen. He does believe he's all squared away, so hopefully everything will work out. He frequents Zach's community. He's always in the lives and the comments. So hopefully you'll recognize him and give him a warm welcome in the comments. And so yeah, we're gonna get into it today. It's gonna be kind of a free for all episode. There's a couple of things I want to touch on, but then I think we might just look over the headlines and just really chop it up, shoot the shit, and see where it goes. And just as a little introductory meeting, but as it stands, however it goes, King Richard still has that drive to and want to get a panel going. So the more people that we all kind of stem from the same community with Zach and satellite channels and things of that nature, but it would be nice to kind of coagulate and all have a forum that we can share our ideas on and try to grow something outward, like put all our bubbles together. Our bubbles are so much easier to pop when they're when we keep them small, but so if we can just expand and really make a run at this. And obviously, like I've spoken before, I'm sure Zach would be more than welcome, more than happy to be involved when he could. And I really think it could become like because we're always waiting on Zach to do the next thing, and that's really not what we should be doing. We should really be focusing on being a boon and a help to the cause, not just waiting around to see where things go. So anyway, exciting things in the future. Either way, another new guest, which is always a pleasant surprise and a happy day and a sign of good things to come moving forward. Whenever we get somebody that's willing to take on the pick up the mantle and join the podcast, because really it's all you got to do is hop on here with a mic and we're good to go. We whether it's me, if Austin comes back, or if King Richard and I become more frequent, it really is just it's really just hanging out with homies at the end of the day. Yeah, we talk about some topics, sometimes heavy, but mostly lighthearted from my perspective. And it's a good time had by all, and it helps people, break out of that slump that we've all that haze that we've all kind of been put under. And we need to, start clearing the brain fog and getting together back as working towards a community. Even though we all don't live next to each other, we can still convene and share ideas and things of that nature. But anyway, long riff at the beginning aside. Before I do send the invite, I did just want to touch on one thing that I didn't plan to talk about with our guest. And that is my apologies for, I led on last week. And this might sound, this could come off as like, oh yeah, sure. And that's fine. I'll take that, because it was my bad for not taking the time and at least crunching the numbers and sharing my opinion about the narrative. I did slightly mention it last week with the Stacey King death. I talked about the narrative with the three-peats and Michael Jordan in the news, and of course Denny Hamlin at that point. I'm talking about NASCAR, of course. Denny Hamlin at that point had won his second race, and was this yeah, he had won his second race at that point. And so I was floating around the idea that Denny Hamlin, of course, being connected to Michael Jordan at the hip, and of course the 23XI lawsuit in the off season, which has been like the catalyst for this entire season, of course, a la Tyler Reddick, and the meteoric rise he's been going through. But then, of course, one of the biggest memes in the NASCAR industry is like that picture of Undertaker behind. I don't follow wrestling. I just know that Undertaker is like, he had come up behind another guy, and it's a popular meme regardless of like, you know, someone getting snuck up on, but they usually swap the faces. And it's been very popular because Denny Hamlin has been catching Tyler Reddick in the points. But I would not be surprised. I haven't checked it yet. Let's do this live. See where they're at with points. But yeah, before I get to the NASCAR website, but to check on the points. Long story short, I should have made a community post for you guys and to just kind of keep my word, because I said I didn't promise to or anything. I said if I could, but still, I wish I had, because it would have further proved that these narratives are pretty clear cut this season. They're really clear cut, in fact. And I'm sure if me and Austin were vibing on this whole thing, you know, of course, the last 3 weeks I haven't had them, and you know, if we would have been able to talk these things out, we would have guaranteed covered these things. But I've, of course, been busy with other things and excuses, whatever. But I did have Denny Hamlin pegged to win 3 straight, and that was my pick for this week. And I really wish I came out and did a community post for you guys. And that's my bad. Once again, take it with a grain of salt. It's hindsight now. I accept that. But with that being said, let us go take a quick look at the standings real quick, the points. Oh man, he is hot. He is hot on the trail. And look at our boy Blaney too. Blaney's right there. He's been having a pretty consistent season. Of course, he's got the 1 win. But yeah, he's been very consistent with points. So we'll see where that goes. Same as Chase Elliott. He's been right there the whole time without. He has 2 wins. He won a few weeks ago before the three-peat. But without going too far into it, because we are on a limited amount of time before I can hopefully get my guest in here, which interestingly enough, it looks like it did not send just there. Let me double check and I might have clicked. Sometimes I'll like not click send. I think I click send, but I click a different button. Let me make sure he's getting the invite. Okay. Sorry about this. I should have done this before, but there we go. Okay, now that definitely sends. Okay. Hopefully he gets that shortly, and we'll get him in there. Okay. Well, so yeah, Denny Hamlin right on the trail. By the way, just for the visual people out there, let me pull up the Denny Hamlin Tyler Reddick meme. And you know, the meme is really funny too, because of course 6 degrees of separation, like, you know, he's Denny Hamlin being his boss, but also Denny Hamlin being a driver for Ty Gibbs. So you have the Gibbs and 23XI dichotomy, because Gibbs being one of the teams in the lawsuit that would have been, you know, kind of targeted by 23XI for the fact that they get their drivers in without the runaround that other teams have to do it, because they're kind of grandfathered in. Meanwhile, he, you know, drives for one of those teams, but he's there representing the team that he co-owns. So it's just a very weird situation, but there should be that. But of course, you know, the meme they use for this is a wrestling meme. Oh, I can't believe that they wouldn't. I don't. It's like, I know about it because it's like attached to like the YouTube comments after a race. I was surprised they wouldn't just show up though. Let me try Undertaker. It's a really simple meme. It's just let me look up the Undertaker meme. Whoa, I didn't know I could do that. That's cool. It's this one, but it's just Denny Hamlin's face here and Tyler Reddick's face here. I don't know. I've seen it like 5 times. You think it would at some point come up, but oh well. Either way, of course they use a wrestling meme. It's the NASCAR official page that posts this meme too. So that's why I was alluding to it. But at least you can kind of see what I'm saying. I'll make it a little bigger. It's the Undertaker, behind. I can't remember who that is. That's not Jericho, but anyway, it's somebody. But just kind of showing that he's creeping up on him. He's right behind him, basically. And so yeah, 19-point difference too. That's interesting. Yeah, very similar. I mean, but Denny's doubling him up on laps led, so that's pretty crazy. Yeah, Denny's by far led the most laps. Me and Austin were talking about how many laps he's led before, and now of course he goes on a 3-peat and he's really pushing forward. I would not be surprised if he's there at the end too, just for that. Kind of took the brunt of the shame last season by just barely losing. Did it, and of course, then in the off season, his father dies in a fire, and oh yeah, I mean we've nailed all the narratives down. We should all understand those by now, but it's just like last season. He was definitely able to still pick up wins, even though he was the linchpin of the league as far as driving the narrative forward, for lack of a better term. But we are graced with our next new guest, unique guest, I should say, and that is. Let me get rid of my screen. That is Uncommon Truths Shaman. How's it going, brother?
How you doing, Logan?
Pretty dang good.
So my mic's on. Is that good?
Yeah, you sound great.
Cool. All right, man. Yeah, dude, I haven't really messed with computers ever since I graduated from college. I was done after that. I was burnt out.
Dude, good on you.
Yeah.
They only bring trouble. It's too bad, in this day and age we kind of got to use them. I definitely miss the good old days, the 90s, where when people were walking around, they were looking like up at the birds and looking at traffic and seeing if traffic was coming. Now everybody's just like Googling, is traffic coming? Can I cross
there's
that?
a reason, there's a whole genre of entertainment, especially on YouTube, of nostalgia. I mean,
yeah.
I love nostalgia. That's all. I'm all about it, man.
It definitely. I mean, it's almost like nostalgia for me is it's like a. I don't know if it's like a good thing or it really just it's almost just
I don't
more
think it
depressing than anything.
I see it. It's basically it's a detachment from reality is what it is. Not wanting to accept what the reality is.
Keeps you stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. So I kind of gave you without announcing who was coming on the show, I did give you a little bit of a lead up, but I don't know if you have any kind of like opening statement you want to make. I did have just like a small story I wanted to follow up on. It's honestly it's going to be like the third part of it's going to be like the trilogy of a death thing of three deaths from. Did you ever watch the show or know of the show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Zach's been.
So you're talking about the show one with Michelle Trachtenberg or whatever.
Yeah. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Michelle Trachtenberg.
I remember that show. I didn't really watch that show as much as I remember the movie.
Okay. I'm sure it has something to do with the movie too. I haven't run the numbers on the movie, but
dude, the movie's classic. We're talking about nostalgia. I mean, that's like what, late 80s, early 90s. It's right in that wheelhouse for me.
I have seen part of it. I didn't watch all of it, but my sister was addicted to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she was kind of like an OG of YouTube. Like when YouTube was still like hey guys, look at what my family's doing in the background, and then they were posting on YouTube. That before like Sony Entertainment and all these big corporations, controlled everything. She was pretty big on YouTube, and she did mashups of her favorite shows, and she like set them to like popular songs. This is before songs were copywriting everything and everything like that. And she had a really big following, mostly with Buffy mashups, and she had her whole community. Long story short, because she watched it so much, I would watch it with her and everything. And I would say that it wasn't my cup of tea, the show, but I did end up enjoying like watching it, maybe probably because I was watching it with her. But it was cheesy, sure. All the shows were cheesy, but it was good. It was good enough to watch. But point being, like, it's kind of any news that comes from that kind of homage to my sister, who was just visiting today. So I always, funny enough, the Michelle Trachtenberg, the Harriet the Spy girl, speaking of nostalgia, her death was on my sister's birthday, which, you know, I did an episode of her death and, you know, kind of honor of my sister being like, because my she's not really on the fence about the work or you know, gematria or any of these narratives or anything like that. But she just, you know, it's kind of like she goes along to get along more than she like stops and really looks into anything. But she was very interested in that. So anyway, point being is there was a new death, the third death from that show that I did cover. And just in the small amount of looking into it, I've done some pretty interesting things.
Recent, like like today or something? Or
no, just last week. I had missed it, but she came over and visited, and I got to talking to her about it.
Two of them died. Well, she did, and then there's another guy. So there's been another one.
Yeah, Nicholas Brendan died not that long ago, just a little bit ago actually, and now there's another guy. It would be here. Let me pull it up. Anthony Head, this gentleman. He was like the teacher, but he was really like a paranormal counselor or whatever. And he's the one that trains the vampire slayers. But anyway,
do you know what actual date it is? I see it says
yes, it's July 5th or June 5th. Sorry. And funny you say that because of course in Google fashion they give you multiple dates. Right. If you go and look up Wikipedia, it says June 1st. Absolutely false. It is June 5th that he died. And so I looked at that and I was thinking June 1st. And then it's weird because most people's first source would be like Wikipedia nowadays, or at least the front page of Google that shows you. So they'll run with June 1st and they won't think anything of it. But really June 5th, that date has all the connections with his name and everything like that.
Most people aren't going to look something up once, let alone if they do look for this factoid or whatever once, they're not going to even go a second layer deep. No.
Absolutely. And what do you know? He was in Sweet Transvestite. Now, you mentioned the other guy who died. That was Nicholas Brendan. I got him pulled up. Let's look at some of his.
Is that a song? Is that an album? Is that what it? Or is that? I think
he is a singer. He is a singer.
Yeah, I think that's a song. It looked like it said
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was on the Rocky Horror Show. Okay. I didn't know this. It's good that we're looking this up. Yeah, he actually was in a band with potentially, was it the House guy?
From the show House?
Yeah. I think Hugh Laurie. Yeah, I think him and Hugh Laurie were in a band together. I could be wrong on that, but I know Hugh Laurie did music too, but
yeah, I remember.
That's something I'd have to look up. But no, that's funny. But either way, it's not the point that it's a movie or not, but just it's funny that he's, representing this kind of like secular, different kind of thing, the transvestites. And of course, that's what they were called back in the day, the good old transvestites. Boy, I miss them actually.
Choice name there too going on. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely. But what's funny is you look at Nicholas Brendan's credits, his big one of his big movies was Big Gay Love. So
yeah,
he made it big. I think it's like Big Gay Love and Buffy for me. It's like I put Big Gay Love a little higher.
What year was Big Gay Love? What did it say?
2013. Yeah. So this was after Buffy. So tough getting work, I guess, after that. I don't know. But and I think it was because the story is he had trouble with drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. Of course, the same old story. The same thing they said about Michelle Trachtenberg, this chick, which is the youngest character on the cast, and she dies first. What of course, no one bats an eye.
The 111, October 11th, dude. The 111. Have you noticed?
She's from New York. 111.
There was a hostage situation the other day, and where it was talking about like 1 dead, 11 injured. you got the New York Knicks winning the finals. New York 111.
You got Brunson wearing 11.
There's a plane crash in Missouri that a bunch of skydivers passed away allegedly, and it said that the way that they put it in the headline was 11 skydivers, and then it mentions the pilot separate, like right here, 11 skydivers.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like the 11 and a 1, another 111 there. Also, Butler, Missouri, on Trump's birthday.
Butler, after the Butler, Pennsylvania.
That's the name of the place. The plane went down in Butler, Missouri today.
Let's do it. Well, what do you know? Butler, Missouri, 201, 177. Uh-oh.
Dude, it's amazing. It is really amazing.
Which is really funny because we were doing a lot of that when planes were just falling from the sky for like months straight, or like earlier. Was it this year or the end of last year? I think it was both. It was like the end of last year and this year. I remember one of the stories I was tracking. It was like a family's personal plane. They crashed in like a vacant lot, the backyard of a vacant lot, and of course it was 201 whatever street. I'm like, oh yeah,
I think they had a tie to Missouri. That family was from Missouri, I'm pretty sure as well. That's kind of wild. I didn't think about that. I'm pretty sure that family was from Missouri.
Probably a connection. I mean, phonetically, Missouri, is a lot like misery.
Yeah, that's where I grew up in Missouri. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, really? Where are you hail from?
So I was born in Georgia, outside Atlanta, and then pretty much grew up in Springfield, Missouri, which is like Southwest Missouri, the Ozarks, right? Northwest Arkansas, Southwest Missouri is a very similar area type of situation.
That's cool.
But lived up there pretty much all my life. And like I said, haven't really touched like computers or laptops since I graduated from college in like 2013. And so after that, I wound up, I think it was about a year later, I came back down to Georgia. So.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, a lot of Georgia is one of those popular. There's certain states that have like they stay in the news cycle on a cycle, and Georgia, of course, because of mostly I would say because of the the urban areas of Georgia, Atlanta, things like that. But Georgia is in the news cycle early and often. And if you know the gematria of Georgia with the 44 and there's always a story of killing or a lot of rapper deaths and stuff like that. But
dude, so one of my biggest regrets, right, to talk about Georgia, would be not seeing the Georgia Guidestones, because where I live now, dude, the Georgia Guidestones are maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes away, 40 minutes maybe from where I live right now, and they wound up, after I moved to where I'm at now, they wound up getting blown up like 2 years later. So I didn't. It's
just strange how the world works too, because for how much the community that we come from, it's just Georgia Guidestones. Like, boom, we know about it. We know about some of the dates attached to them. We know about the George Bush connection. We know about all the Skull and Bones stuff. And then some people don't even know about them. Right. And it's just like, man, they have a way of keeping this stuff out.
I didn't know until, or I guess, I don't know, maybe around that time that I moved up here, it was kind of whenever I found out about it, and I was born in the state, I didn't even know.
Yeah. Quite interesting. This is a developing story, like very developing. So we'll see what they try to say. We'll see. Maybe we can click on these and see if we can get some names or something. It's already, pretty interesting that it, the place it lands in. Of course, you hit it on the head with the Butler, Missouri. Of course, we had the Butler, fake assassination attempt.
Well, and it's also Butler, Missouri. I had never heard of it until this story, and I grew up, in Missouri. But apparently, it's not too far outside of Kansas City, which is kind of wild because that Aldon Smith, the NFL player, just passed away at 36 last night, and he played at Mizzou. And I think he played high school maybe in like right outside Kansas City is where he played high school.
Oh.
So it's like that happens. Then the very next day, boom, like this.
Okay. Took off at 11:30. Got that 113. Kind of interesting. Chad Anderson. Let's look up. Let's see, Missouri governor. Mike Kehoe.
That's the name of the governor of Missouri now?
Yeah, Mike Kehoe. Okay. Or Kehoe. I don't know if you. Let's take a look. Michael Leo Kehoe. Speaking of popes and things of that nature. January 17th. Okay, let's take a look here from his birthday. And then 48 days later.
Dude, that's what so last night in the NBA finals, right? The Knicks won.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah, right. The Knicks, they closed the series out 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like kind of Kobe-ish there. Kobe passed away at 41. And then I added up the total score of between the Spurs and the Knicks, and it wound up being 184, which is 8-4-1-13. And that's how old Gianna was as well. So it's like they close out 4-1. Total number of points equals 13, just like his daughter.
Yeah, and there's a lot. Yeah, have you heard the speculation on? Is it Angel Reese that they say she potentially is, or is it maybe somebody else? But I think it's Angel Reese that they say Gianna could be. Like it lines up with her entry into WNBA and stuff like that. But I don't get too far into that, but it's interesting stuff. I mean, I have my own theories about
everything's so controlled, man. It's like these things are all planned out and set up. I'm pretty sure, like all their familial ties is
interesting. You got another
potentially.
You got another Michael. It's just very Michael heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if like these years, like because they're not going off of the Gregorian calendar. These people aren't working off of the same timelines that we're forced to in the working sector. Right. I would not be surprised that their timelines have to do with like Zoroastrianism and like names and like things of like homage to like rulers.
Oh, they
and
totally
things.
Do, man. Like if because
I'm on Michaels.
Well, and look at Michael Leo, like Pope Leo right now.
Of course.
But like I'm on Zach's Patreon, right, for sports every day, and I mean, when you see like the certain, whether it be Saturnalia or Mercuralia, like, and they're lining these things up, and they celebrate these celestial, traditions that they do it in the sports. They do it, whether it be politics, whatever, or tragedies, plane crashes, all stuff. And it's honoring those things. To me, it's pretty evident that that's what they're all about.
Yeah, look no further than the Washington Monument right outside, right on the front lawn of the in Washington D.C. That is a big. Obviously, we know what we would associate it with obelisk, but it's got the phallus thing. People are associating with Egypt and things of that nature. But there's lots of different reasons they.
Every day of the week, it has a planetary counterpart, represented by, Tuesday, Mars, Wednesday, Mercury. It's like, it's all right there,
And stuff they'll never teach you in school. They'll teach you the calendar so you know which days you're clocking in. That's about it.
That pisses me off so much, dude. How much time I've wasted because, basically you have to almost like you're led into this public. Like Zach talks about, a little puzzle slave school or whatever. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things negatively that they do is they take those prime years of someone's development and it's absolute lies and nonsense, dude.
Of course, it's so funny that you're talking about Zach, and I know what diatribes you're talking about. I love when he goes on those because they're so. It's like he might as well just be talking about me. It's insane. He's a bit older than me, but at the same time, his like history with school and everything is like dead. It's the same as mine. I mean, down to how many times you got to learn the Titanic. Then again, nowadays, I don't think kids are learning the Titanic multiple times like we were potentially in school. But, just all the anecdotal stuff he talks about, it's like, man, that is exactly like, how I felt in school. And I still remember like 9/11 being so huge because, they wheel in those TVs and everybody's sitting there watching, mesmerized by the smoke and the explosions and everything, and I'm just the only one looking around feeling like I'm trapped in a episode of the Twilight Zone. It was scary because I was just like, bro, it was wild. But
that winds up being, because I can remember I was in middle school. I can remember when that happened that morning too, and it's kind of weird to think about how if all like these schools all across the country, they like the teachers or the faculty was wheeling in TVs or turning the TVs on if they're hanging up in the corner, whatever, to make sure these kids watch that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, what was there like a memo that went out a month or 2 months before saying, make sure if anything happens, a tragedy, you make sure you televise it. We're going to make sure the kids get to see this.
I have looked into this. That was exactly the thought I had because my memory didn't just go from, oh, that's what happened that day. I remember the fact that my school got TVs right before then. Up until that point, like in our entire school, we had, I think, 2 rolling cart TVs. And you had to, your teacher, if you guys wanted to do a movie day or like if they wanted to borrow it to have a lesson on the TV, they had to put their thing out for like a week in advance because everybody wanted the TV and the TV was always taken every single day. But just miraculously before 9/11 happened, every room got TVs. So it was, I thought about that and I went to look on it. I couldn't find any like concrete thing of like a act, like you're saying, like a government memo or like, a scholastic standard that we're going to start injecting more TVs most rooms could potentially have a projector and things of that nature, but obviously, TV being different, but I thought that exact point.
Some of these schools probably got those TVs for that event before they even got like air conditioning. It might be crazy for people to think about today, but whenever I was in elementary school, I remember our elementary school did not have air conditioning. About halfway through, they started putting it in. And it's like, I don't think a lot of people that wouldn't even, you can't do that today. Can you really? Like,
I don't know if I've been in a school that had, I might've been in my high school, might've had central air, but I went to a pretty ratty high school. I went to 2 different middle schools. The second middle school I went to definitely didn't have air conditioning. And I can't remember if the first one, the first one might've, but my elementary school definitely didn't. I remember in summer days, we was just sweltering and they would, the fire department would come in and spray all the kids down with the hose like multiple times a week. And we would get Otter Pops for free and stuff like that because it was so hot, like couldn't keep us in the class. So yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like to a parent and like a kid that's at those ages today, that's probably, they can't even wrap their minds around that. Probably, what I mean?
Absolutely. So yeah, these are. I definitely need to look more into these. I would assume it has something to do with the government. I wonder if. I mean, obviously, the Kansas being right outside of Kansas City, Missouri, is very interesting. Not too long for NFL starts back up.
Very simple surface level. You got the 12 dead. Today's three-day numerology, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see.
Yeah, symbols down to 3, 21, 3, 30.
Why am I not? Is it this side? Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's 3-day. Like their paths are 21, 30, 66. All those break down to 3.
Yep.
So that's why the 12 dead. Okay, on a 3-day. Yeah.
Yep. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm sure it has to do with the governor as well. It usually does. But governor, maybe potentially the mayor. And you'd be surprised with how many times like the governor's out of town when a disaster happens. I mean, if you guys remember Hawaii and things of that nature, then or
you blew that was crazy with the what was it like with NASCAR and the Tennessee governor? That was wild, dude. I was watching it on YouTube TV.
You know what's so funny? He's on his way out. I wouldn't be surprised if they give him one more this season. But so far it just hasn't panned out, and it just hasn't panned out because like anytime he's not in the news, people would think it's stupid to be like, what do you mean? Just because Bill Lee's not in the news, William Byron can't win? I'm just like, okay, well, that's what I'm going with, because like I've tracked every time he did win last season, William Byron was in the news. So,
and then the whole thing with because they had the Braves were playing the Reds.
That was it at a track baseball.
I mean,
they postponed it for rain so that it started Saturday. They postponed it for rain, and so just so that he could be there at the same time that William Byron was racing the next day, so that it was also the news people could look it up. It was like, oh, that was Saturday. Well, look it up. It postponed and it finished Sunday, and that's when William Byron happened to be racing. And of course, that was in Tennessee. That was the Bristol track, and meanwhile, William Byron's off at another track picking up a win. And then, of course, what was the first one was those storms that were sweeping the East Coast and the Midwest. And you had 3 different states with major storms that were, huge issues. Yeah, two governors asked for a state of emergency for their state. And so like the whole time I'm looking it up too, I'm like, it has to do with these two governors because look, they're in the news. But no, that's not how they did it. The one that didn't issue a state of emergency was Bill Lee, and that was as William Byron was, and of course his name's William Byron.
Dude, they're tricky. They're tricky, man.
Absolutely.
Everything is coded so many, like one event, and there's so many different ways it's coded. It's unbelievable.
What of course takes the cake is me and Austin. We had a narrative we were following for so long, dude, and we pretty much nailed it all the way to the very end of the season. The only thing we didn't notice is that the second to last race of the season, we had one driver pegged to win it, and he lost, and William Byron won the second to last race of the season, which it was in the playoffs, so Blaney didn't win. He got disqualified after that race, and Kyle Larson went on to win. But what we failed to notice is that it was National Tennessee Day that day. So of course William Byron was going to win, and that was just brutal. That one hurt. We had like this months long call, and it was all coming true, and then just the very end we didn't notice that. But
dude, what was it last week in the MLB? Okay, so like last week, middle of the week, it was National Bubba Day. And this is what's crazy too. Wow. I mean, you see like every day it's national. There's like a whole list of national, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I used to think about like, why are they doing this? Is just so crazy that there's this much effort going into making these national days. But then it makes sense because it's for their little rituals and their mockery that they like to do. The Pittsburgh Pirates have one of their starting pitchers. His name's Bubba, and it was National Bubba Day. And Bubba had a great start. He wanted to get in the win, on Bubba Day.
Wow.
Same thing, I mean, a month ago, it was National Byron Day. Byron Buxton for the Twins. I think he hit at least one home run, I think, on that day.
Oh, holy shit. Man, yeah, we have noticed those things like posthumously. I don't think I've thought to like look up what National Day it is. That's a very good point. I'm actually going to write that down as a reminder. Check National Day. Because, I mean, think about it, like Penguin Day for like when the Penguins are in the playoffs and stuff like that. I mean, I think their record winning on Penguin Day is like outrageous. To say that it's like coincidence is just your trip.
There was like National Bird Day like recently or something like
Blue
that.
Jays,
and the Orioles,
Cardinals,
yeah, exactly. The two bird teams that were playing, I think it was Orioles and Cardinals. They both won on the Bird Day. It's wild. And it's just so like in your face, you know what I'm saying? Like what?
Yeah, it is, especially because Google will tell you on like your home screen of a computer, it'll tell you what National Day it is. Of course, like usually they do have multiple things for each day. Almost every day has a multiple day of what it is. Pop Goes the Weasel Day. It's like, what are you talking about? Who's celebrating that? So
none of them are like none of them make sense with each other. It's not like there's a theme to it where it's like, no, it's just completely that one thing. How different can we think of? That's also what day it is. Like what?
World Blood Donor Day is interesting. That's
Bourbon Day. There you go.
Yeah, you got them right next to each other. It's like thin out your blood and then donate it.
Okay.
It's the Army's birthday. Huh. I'll have to look that.
Well, it is interesting that it's Flag Day, Blood Day, the Army's birthday. You've seen a theme there. I take it back. There's themes here.
It is absolutely the founding of the Army. I don't know if I've ever associated June 14th with that. That is something I need to keep in mind.
Look at this dude. Who is this dude that gets his face on the Army page thing? Who's he?
Right.
Yeah.
He is.
Let's see.
Bergdahl. Sure, he's real. Very interesting.
Well, it's like talking about how obvious it is, like just what they do. I tried to point this out to like my family, especially my mom. But I mean, it's ridiculous how they go with themes. Earlier, like a few minutes back, you were talking about the plane crashes like a year and a half ago, what it was. And yeah, it was like a trend that was going on, and it was like plane crash trend, boom. And then after that winds up wiping out. And then the new trend recently has been all these just explosions, plant explosions. There's been explosions all over,
firework factories exploding.
Out, well, go back to the 90s or even the early 2000s, and you would hear about something exploding like that, maybe one or two in the whole year, and you might hear, you see what I'm saying? How many in the last week, and same thing with the plane crash. There would be like a couple every couple of years. You might have a big plane crash, and it's like, how many just happened? You don't see that this is completely an outlier.
And it's not arbitrary either, because what it does is it drives a narrative into your subconscious for the next implementation of their plan, really. And what it was before the planes. Do you remember what it was before the planes?
The drones. What was it?
Well, my opinion, the trains. There's lots of trains and bridge collapses. Was before that, and then so what they're highlighting is like infrastructure, and think back to like what it took to get Zeppelins barred, and what not to get them barred. It's like the government can just say you can't do it, but like back in that time. I think you'd have a lot more pushback without a Hindenburg or without, for them to be able to say, look at this tragedy. And not to mention it was captured on film, how many Zeppelins were, people, it was such a commonplace. Zeppelins were so common back then for that time period that people weren't just like, oh, a Zeppelin, I got it. You didn't have anything to take a video with, but like one of the biggest tragedies ever for that time period, there just happened to be, press to be able to, video it and show the nation. Well, obviously that got a major thoroughfare and a way of transportation, which was, arguably we should be doing to this day because it is clean and for many reasons. But anyway, also it's cooler than whatever.
Yeah, dude, so that's what I was about to say. That fascinates me. Like they're Lucius Aurelian channel, man. Like, and I've seen like,
I've heard of them.
Middle of nowhere, Iowa, dude. There's airships, right? Floating.
I mean, to this day, there's still mooring stations in the middle of fields.
Right.
So it was a very common thing and very cool. And even train stations have been modified from Zeppelin hangars. So it's and they don't tell you that in the history of the train station too. It's obviously that's something they want you to forget completely about. But the point being is that same way they drive the narrative to the masses to be able to accept a change, a coming change. They don't want trains. There will be trains, but they will not be driven by humans. Right. And there won't be, and there'll be everything is headed towards an automation breaking point where the people will accept the automation. And the only way that's going to happen is they're going to have something to offer you. They're going to have an apple for you to take.
Convenience is all they need, just to make something where you just have to sit down and not do anything, and that's good enough for pretty much like 90% of people.
I wouldn't be surprised if it might even just be initially, they just need a human in the truck, but they won't be driving it or anything. They just need them there, and so they'll just be sitting there on their video games or on their phone while they're just barreling down the highway with thousands of pounds behind them. But they just won't even be looking at the road because they're just there to, make sure if something malfunctions or whateber. And then before
surveillance, they're there for surveillance.
Meanwhile, they got all the cameras on them, probably. Yeah. But here's the anecdotal part of it. My mother-in-law, she has worked almost her entire adult life doing like books and stuff for initially for automotive parts suppliers, but even when she was doing that, they were like large groups. But she's moved up and up and up, and to some of the biggest shipping, truck shipping and transportation companies in the country. And so she at certain points in her work, she's been the one that cuts the check for the CEO. Like the CEO, doesn't necessarily really sign the check. You know how that works, but she would be the one in billing actually doing it. So she's seen the corruption, how he's just able to sign insane amounts of money over to like his son, and like how he gets around like certain taxes and things like that. But long story short, there's a huge change coming to most of those industries with as far as there was just issue after issue after issue like she's never seen before. All the trucks were like, there was drivers crashing constantly and insurance claims getting filed that were millions of dollars, and they're
getting arrested because they tried to pick up a lot lizard at the truck stop, stuff like this. This is real, this is real stuff.
No, but exactly, they'll use that and say this human element's got to go. This is holding back business, and who's footing the bill for it? You guys are paying the extra shipping costs. So do you guys want to pay less shipping, or do you guys want to, you guys want these fat dudes, think about what the look, if you ask somebody, draw a trucker, there's going to be a certain, describe a trucker, they're going to have a certain image in their mind because they've driven that narrative home through every, movie ever, every show there's a trucker in. They all look the same. They all function the same. They're, low level individuals. You pair that with people finding out how much they make, they might be a little envious and say, oh yeah, fuck that. Yeah. So not to say that I believe in that narrative. I'm just saying like, that's the narrative that's there. I think, with all those things in place, with as well as, all the issues, and it's like also no one likes getting stuck behind a damn semi on the highway either. So there's just so much like things that people would instantly just like, oh yeah, I got my own worries. I'm not even going to look into why that might be good or bad. Yeah, sure. Get rid of them. Let's go AI for that. Let's go AI for this. Let's make those drones.
It's going to be all across the board, dude, because
of course.
And I hate it. I hate it, but it is facts. Like anything that involves service with a human element now in today's society is miserable. Like it just is. Like, I mean, trying
by design.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And to the point to where like I used to go, like if you're at the grocery store, I would go to the actual clerk just because like, they're fighting. I was trying to think for them, like the more they get used, maybe they can stay with their job a little bit longer. But dude, it became so painful and miserable. I don't do that anymore. I just go.
You know why? It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's it is a concerted effort. And don't think your little, maybe like a rinky dink chain, you can leave those guys out of any like family owned. Sure. I'm talking about anything that's like conglomerate based, and Albertsons, Fred Meyer, whatever those chains are in the Midwest or the East Coast, they all are the same, Costco. They deliberately will put certain people in those spots for that exact reason. If you guys don't think it is an entire psychological game, the guys at the top, they have to abide by a certain standard and rules. They're getting fed rules that they need to follow. They're not. They don't give a shit at the end of the day. They're never checking out at a grocery line.
They're wanting your grocery store experience to be so miserable that you're just getting groceries delivered online at this point.
Now you're pushing an AI cart and it's just scanning it as soon as you pick it up. That's already being implemented in many stores. And you know where they're starting doing that stuff? Whole food stores. Which is interesting because that's like, you would assume that's like a place where on average you wouldn't even have that bad of an experience. I mean, in my opinion, you know, the more you pay for, you know, when you get into like the organics, what are some of the chains like Trader Joe's, and not saying these are great chains or anything, but as far as what I've seen, you know, they like to deliver a little bit more of a personal experience. Like the check stands aren't some like big, huge, like bulky square. It's like literally a person standing.
Is softer in those.
Yeah.
And like what you're talking about, you can tell like the lighting has like a more of a yellow lighting. The colors inside are a little bit more warmer, like that kind
of wood tones and stuff.
You know, instead of like blue, yellow.
But that's where they're implementing the AI first. So it's just like, man, they're like, you can't. It's like if the people are going to accept the AI where it's not even like really helpful, it's not even like better, but if we're all going to use it there, we're all just basically saying, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you guys want. And if there's no pushback, and that's just what it's going to be. But like you said, you know, who's going to push back? No, I want fucking Chris to come fumble my groceries around and like take 20 minutes to do something I know I could just pull his ass out and do in 5. But
dude, I was at the gas station a couple days ago. I was getting a pack of cigarettes, which, you know, is not good. Whatever, is my vice. And so I'm out there. I was going to get the gas too. So there we go. There's other reasons. But the clerk, the girl, the lady there, like I walked up, she acknowledged me as I came through the door, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey," and I'm walking directly up there. I don't have to go around the store because I'm getting a pack of cigarettes. So boom. She proceeds to, I don't know, maybe it was TikTok or whatever, but she proceeds to watch a video that was probably like a minute long, maybe a minute and a half long. I could hear it. It was like some lady getting arrested, or I don't know. And she's like commenting, like while she's looking down, watching it. And I'm right there. She knows I'm there, dude. Like, and I'm standing right there needing her service, but I had to wait until she got done watching this girl get arrested, making comments throughout it. After it was over, she looks up and she's like, "Oh man, that girl, she blah blah," you know, whatever. And she's like, "What can I help you?" And I was like, "This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
This is the new. Right now. This is the new normal. This is, and it's brutal. The you know, people's attention spans are absolutely cooked. They need some sort of dopamine, and you know, I'm sure that girl is not having the most fulfilling life, and so you think she's going to care about yours?
She's like, "I hate my job," and
exactly.
I was like, "I get it." You know, yeah.
Those are probably the least likely people to be fired right now. Like, if you're a shitty person, it's never been easier to have and keep a job right now for a shitty person.
Got a low bar going on.
Oh yeah.
You know, we got a low bar going on here.
It's absolutely true. And
so we should be able to win. You know, we should be able to get some wins every day. We should be having some wins then if it's such a low bar, you know, threshold.
You know what's interesting? I think, you know, somebody with good work morals and self-responsibility and things of that nature, I think they actually stand out like a sore thumb to the point where if, you know, from a manager's perspective, they would rock the boat. They're actually not worth having more than the people that are...
They cause conflict because there's so much from experience. We can talk about this other times, but yes,
we'll have to do an episode on it because I'm so sick of it in my own life. Oh my god! Yeah. But yeah, it certainly feels that way. I'm lucky enough to now work. Me and my girl run our restaurant, so it's like. But even then, even with me being basically almost the other half of the business. Still, the people I work with think that they can just, you know, walk however they want to walk, and like my standard isn't the one that's followed, and it's rough. It is rough. Yeah. But
I was kennel manager at the Humane Society, one of the Humane Societies locally around here, and so yeah, I had to try to staff for the kennels, and I mean, dude, miserable trying to get people to work. It was terrible. Being a manager, trying to manage other people in today's society, in a 2026 world, 2020 world, even. Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and that's always going to be a focal point to kind of harken back to is 2020. Of course, that's kind of where you saw the split in people's minds, really, but the psychological split that took place. And anecdotally, I mean, I lost my best friends who I also worked with at the same place, and you just see this like strange new creature appear for no reason, and it's just like it was crazy. But at the same time, like this is a long-term plan. It wasn't because the 2020 was like a catalyst. It wasn't the root of the problem. The root was planted when they were kids. It was planted in all of us. I think there's just a mental threshold. And it's not to put myself above anybody else. I never thought of it like that. I wish more people would see things with a questioning mind and an analytical mind. Not be just it. Not only would it make it easier for me to walk through life, I'd feel less alienated, but everything would be easier for multiple reasons. But yeah, the subconscious propaganda that we've all gone through, I think there's a certain threshold that certain people, they didn't meet that threshold, and it's probably just tougher to literally take them out of the matrix. They give you the symbology for a reason. There's a reason placebos work on people. People have different brain chemistry, and they know that. And that, I wouldn't be surprised if the people that can see past these ruses have just a different brain chemistry, and whether or not that.
Well, I think like a very underrated or overlooked thing that is like an ingredient, if you will, in this whole, where we find ourselves at today and how people are. So it's classical conditioning, Pavlov's dog. The power of classical conditioning, I think, kind of gets glossed over. People know about it, they've heard about it, but just look at what it's done, because that's really at like maybe a simple foundational level. That's why we're at where we're at today. That's why, like you're talking about, as far as society wise or work ethic, these things, it's been classical conditioning it's been rewarding of not working, basically,
And I've talked about it several times I'm a huge proponent of people understanding that there's tiers of psychology taking place. And if you stay on too low of a tier, you put yourself at risk to be taken advantage of, even in low level interactions. People can tell what you know and even what you know about yourself. Like they can ascertain that way faster than you, and you're not even thinking that anyone's trying to do that. You're fucked. You're screwed, buddy. Like that's how salesmen work. That's like a low level thing. That's how regular people use those techniques. You think that there's not more sophisticated techniques that are being used on you and used on them and used on everybody without you even understanding?
A lot of it subconsciously too, dude. A lot of it, they're doing this and they're using this on you while they like consciously, they don't even really realize what they're doing,
No, oh yeah, absolutely. What's interesting, we got a little anecdotal story, another one here. When me and my girl lived at our previous house, the ADT salesman came by, and of course this was a house call at like 7:30 at night, and we got like a higher up guy, because they had tried to like get a hold of us through the mail and through like leaving brochures on her, because we were, anytime you basically buy a house and there was like ADT there before, they try to like re-up it with the next guy, and they're pretty hard on trying to sell it. And so I'm guessing the last step was,
you're doing this right now. That's what we're doing.
Basically. But here's what's interesting about it. And I look back on it with a little bit of regret, because it was my mother-in-law and my girl was on the lease, and I wasn't on the lease. So I I knew I didn't have as much say in this. And it's weird trying to argue, no, we don't need to be safe. Our baby girl doesn't need to, have protection. And that's what they'll argue is, this is safe for your family. And here I would be like saying, no, we don't need that. Let's take a risk. That's what they put me in the box of, no, let's risk it. Let's risk a home invasion. We're good. And so, like, of course, I didn't feel like fighting it. But meanwhile, they send a Mason who was proud to wear his fat ring, and this big ass dude come into our house and just spit. And here's the messed up part. This is like slightly after I had like I had like my second awakening where I've literally found Zach's channel. I've talked about it even on Zach's channel. I went on and talked about it. But when I found his channel, it was very strange, dude. I was smoking the green at that point, but this was not because of that. When it like something clicked in my head and I had like an out of body experience. Like when he started describing things, I was seeing like things from my childhood that I never, like subconscious things that stuck in my head that I didn't understand why I was seeing them or why I knew what it was. But it was like all becoming clear. It was like a freaking movie. But anyway, so it was slightly after that. So I hadn't really been working on my girl that much. Like I was still learning. I wasn't like pushing it to other people yet or trying to tell my son about it yet that much. So I'm sitting there as like an observer and I'm just like, no, this guy is just a fucking agent, dude. I just know he is. And he is just mesmerizing her with his words and he knows exactly what cards to pull with her. And I'm just like bullshit in my head. But I didn't, feel like I could, say anything about it. But like, I tell her about that and she understands, she fully understands it now. But like, I was like, yeah, babe, you got mesmerized by words and by his like stature. He used that to mesmerize you. And like, dude, that's the difference between people not even knowing anything's going on and people who are concerted effort to do something. Just those two things, like they don't mesh. The person with the concerted effort is going to blow past you.
Well, dude, it spells like we talk about spelling and spell casting. It absolutely is. This dude I've met right in the past, and he was talking about he had been in prison, right? And he was talking about this guy that he would hang out with and he would go smoke with in prison, and he was up there, smoking with the dude. It was one in prison. There's one day they're up in the other dude's cell, just hanging out. And he had a piece of paper with like, some stuff written on it. I think it was written on the front and a little bit on the back. And so the dude that I was talking to, he picked up that piece of paper and he asked the guy, he's like, what's this? He goes, here, read it. And so the guy looks down, he starts reading it. And this is what the guy was telling me. He said he got like halfway through and then that was it. He doesn't remember. And then the next thing he knows, he's waking up. And he only read like half like of the front page. And next thing he's waking up and he's like freaked out. He's like, whoa. And he looks over at the guy whose cell it is, whose paper that is. And the guy had this like one of those looks on his eyes and just that smile and he's like, yeah. He's like, whoa, what was that? What happened? And he's like, basically like, it was a spell, dude. It knocked him out. It passed him out just by reading this paper.
And it could have been, from what I know about, that sounds like definitely black magic. And from what I know what's behind that, it wouldn't be surprised if somewhere hidden in there's a circle or whatever they're called. Those what do they call those damn things? Something gram or what? Pentagram or some sort of, but they call it like a spell binding circle. But potentially even the thing they were smoking, not saying the thing that they were smoking knocked him out, but just that being a catalyst that the smoke is going into your brain and then you're repeating tantra, you're repeating mantra and tantra and doing that kind of stuff. That's that's what people say they use that to heal too. So it's, black magic doesn't necessarily, I guess black magic, it does connotate bad, but magic itself, who knows? But that's something, that's something as like everyday people we need to come to better terms with too. Is
stuff like that exists?
Exactly. And not being so nonchalant about it, not just making the Illuminati jokes and moving on with your lives. these people are thriving on you doing just that. You're just playing right into their hands. And from where I'm sitting, what's frustrating about it is there's really no incentive to just go along to get along. And just like, in my perspective, if you are in the game, and not to say to like give up everything you got going and like fight the true fight, never mind that. If you are going through life and you're doing the Tesla thing and you're doing the corporate thing, sure. But like, you should have an understanding even in that position of what's going on. And I'm not saying to get jaded and quit everything you're doing. Never mind all that. But just like, those people are the most oblivious. And it's just like, you know how much better you would probably be doing if you had any knowledge of what's going on? You'll look at someone like me who makes way less money, and you'll just put that, you'll use that level in your mind as a gap. And meanwhile, I'm looking from down here, supposedly where you think I am. I'm looking up to you saying, you're fucking dumb, dude. You are a puppet. At least
and
I'm not a damn
down
puppet.
Saying you're fucking dumb. Look at you.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
It's like crazy, dude.
But I don't think it me and Austin, since we've had this channel, it has been, when we talked on the phone before we ever did our first episode, this channel is to break people out and initially break us out, because me and him were kind of reclusing and secluding ourselves. Just like because
society in general,
pretty much, the world around us was not fun to participate with, or to not fun. It was impossible. Basically, it's something we weren't willing to do. Like, I can get along with everybody. I'm not some like hyper judgmental person where I will just cut you off from just one glance or anything like that. It's not like that at all. I mean, either is Austin. He's a sociable person. It's just it's like sociable should be like for both parties. And if sociable means for one party, football, basketball, and then if you're not into football, basketball, and sport game, and Donald Trump and politic and thing, even if they're not like partisan and they're not sided on it, but if you're not even willing to play the game, they can smell that shit on you and they don't want to talk to you and they'll treat you differently. And it's just like, would you want to hear about what I have to say about it? Probably not. You would cut me off there too. And it's like, our whole goal is to get that shit out of here. It's so impossible. It's bad for both parties involved. And it's the only thing that keeps us chained is the fact that the top and the bottom, who perceives top and bottom, I'm not saying we're top or bottom. It's just the perceived top and bottom are constantly at odds. When the person we're at odds with is the one that puts our chains on, not not in the pecking order of the pen that we're in. It's not, we shouldn't be sheep fighting to be an alpha sheep. We should be sheep fighting to get out and fit. Once we're out, we'll figure things out. But there's no sense of working together, and there's so many boxes they put us in, and it's on us to stop playing into it. It's on us to stop indexing ourselves and stop considering who we are by what we do. You should judge people on who they are by what they do in the moral sense, but not in the like corporatocracy and social sense. There's just not enough meeting in the middle with everybody, and not enough open-mindedness, and people cut things off way too quickly. People are way too stuck in their ways. People are way too stubborn. And I'm not talking about everybody but me. I'm talking about myself. This is what I was saying, that when we started this channel, that we did fill some of those boxes I was just talking about. I'm not making myself better than any of that stuff. And since we've done it, I was even a little bit nervous about just randomly doing a YouTube show with Austin. I had met him one time. We talked on the phone like 3 times for like 10 minutes at a time. And all of a sudden we were just like, you want to do a show about some stuff? And we'll just figure it out. It's like, boom. And it happened. And here we are. But, or here I am at least. But I think one of the best things we liked about once it was established and we had some mojo and we were doing it, we would always talk about how it's just like, it's just for you. If you're watching, it's just 2 dudes hanging out and talking to each other, and you might as well think that we've known each other for a while. But why we tell you that's not the case is because we too often we see people just bubbled up, and they're not willing to, reach out or be the next person to, just break out of their little shell that they put themselves in. And at the end of the day, we're just dudes talking it. I think this is why I say that, is because this is going to serve as another great piece of evidence that this is extremely possible. And like, already I can tell you're a dope ass dude, and I've enjoyed talking with you just for the 50 minutes you've been on, dude. This has been a great conversation. I can't wait to have you back on. Hopefully it's even regular.
I've been in the comments, pretty much almost every couple I throw a comment in there, because like I always look forward to Monday mornings. By the time you post this, Monday mornings is how I start my day. It's like UTTV, throw it on, let's go.
Oh yeah, dude, I appreciate that. And we don't do this for like the views or anything like this. Those things come and those things can help. Of course, we know what we're dealing with the algorithm and everything like that, but there's a reason we've never like pushed it. It's because, grassroots, I think people need to see it grassroots, or true grassroots thing, in order to understand that it's possible and not be so jaded on the algorithm and things like that. And the great thing about the community is, we've had guys like Rick James and other people, and like Soldier Fields, who will number their comments, and we've caught multiple fuckeries going on with like duped comment numbers and missing comments and things like that. So it's like, that is also showing what we're up against. But like I've said multiple times too, we are borrowing this platform. At the end of the day, we can be upset with what they do with it, but unfortunately we haven't come together and make our own. I shouldn't say we haven't, personally we haven't, but of course Zach has with the Mighty, and that it would be, I would love to see that make a surgence, I should say. I don't know if it ever got big. I know when I was using it a lot more.
Network, because Illegal Smile talks about it all the time.
He posts on there. Yeah, he does his NASCAR.
I was on Free to Find Truth. I was on that. I probably still have it. Is it even a thing, right? Did he say he doesn't do it anymore, right?
Was that the one that had the falling out with the tech guys?
Maybe.
Or not. But no, he might still post on Free to Find Truth. I think he might. That, like I said, I could see doing better.
Posts on there, dude. Those were some legit. Like, I would see some cool posts on there. Way cooler than you're ever going to see on a social media thing today.
Of course, yeah. And of course, minus all of the. Naysayers are okay. Everybody has their own opinion on everything. It's just that naysaying without explanation. It's just like what like. If you disagree, say why.
Right. I welcome a critique. Critiques are great, dude, as long because it's got like hopefully content with it, like of why, but no one says that. Everyone says their initial feeling. Like if they don't like something, they will definitely share their disgust. But crazy, if you were to ask them a follow-up question or two, they don't even know why they don't like it in the first place. They can't even tell you why they don't like it. It's like a societal norm or whatever that if that tends to fall outside of that, and that's the reason. Not necessarily that they do have a feeling this way or that way about whatever the topic or subject is. It's just that it's not what the majority, they're not what the mass is doing,
And welcome back to classical conditioning, because that stems back to that. I've talked about this several times on the channel, that people have a lot of, I think it's just not big enough. Especially with how many people still have their kids going to school and things of that nature, and they don't know what their kids going through because they haven't broken out of what they went through. So they haven't been able to look back upon themselves like a mirror and say, oh shit, that's what they were doing to me, because they're just haven't broken out yet. They didn't know anything was being done to them, so they're still like on the other side of that. But what it is I've talked about this several times, but it is, I'm sure it has like a classical definition too, like a, what do they call those? Diagnosis or whatever. Anyway, but it is, even if the message is like negative. So take for instance, COVID. Why so many people were so easily sent to the store to buy toilet paper, put on 3 masks, wear masks at ridiculous times. Here in Oregon, We literally had the worst wildfires we've had ever. The heat was the record highs. It was like 116 degrees, and wildfires you couldn't see anywhere. And technically, what's funny about that, I was like, all right, that was actually probably an appropriate time to wear a mask, but like people weren't wearing masks for that. They were wearing it because of COVID. But either way, why it's so easy for the news to say the trigger word and get people to do the thing that they say is because they got there first. In the programming, you're sitting your kids with a tablet in Dora the Explorer and all these stupid little shows and all these stupid little commercials and cartoons. They have themes going that is getting to your child's brain first. And it's
Cocomelon, dude. Cocomelon allegedly is like
man,
you know, it's basically like heroin for kids, dude. You know
that's because it's that slow mantra, the slow like tantra stuff they do, like same as Dora, where it implores you to be involved in the show. Like, where should we go next? Great, it's just like, but yeah, no, they, of course, dude, and. The thing is, they'll get those types of messaging into the head first, and it is a proven psychological fact that you, as a parent, you're so far behind if you're not paying attention to what your kid is into and what they're taking in. Because if you don't get your ideas and morals in first, something will fill that gap, and that is why you get kids' rebellious nature. It's not like something that is destined to be when you turn 16, you go against your parents. Oh, it's just them being. No, it is. That is a planned structural thing in the system. That is not a DNA thing. It becomes a DNA thing, but it is not a set thing from the moment they were born that was going to happen. This is happening because ideas are being put into their head. And when the news harkens onto that idea, it is a Manchurian thing. They're being tricked. They're being triggered. There's triggers for it. And if you're not, it's basically like the hypnotist versus like a random person on the street. The hypnotist who's hypnotized the person tells them to, walk 15 feet and come back. He does it. A random person, he has no control over their mind. It's the same thing. They've got this idea deep in their brain, and whether or not the idea drives with them or not, they will go with the idea that's in there already. So point being, like, they'll get you with the idea that vaccinations are important. Vaccinations. Dora, we'll be right back with Dora the Explorer. Johnson & Johnson loves your family. Have you gotten your flu vaccinations and your vaccinations? If you don't get them, love is vaccination. Love is vaccination. Love heart vaccination. Boom. And then I'm sure this video is going to go well, but but they'll get that in there first. And good luck as like a third party or a parent, if you had an opposing view trying to explain to them why it isn't necessary or why it isn't potentially good. They're going to shut you out. Like they're not even going to take in your idea because they have that index box is already filled. They don't need, like, they don't have the aptitude to like empty the box and refill it with new information. They're going to stick with the information that's in there first. That's why it's so important for them to get to your kids as early as possible. The show me the kid and I'll show you the man type of thing.
Well, I think part of like stuff that goes into that, as far as like, because what I mean by this is like at the school, that's like part of like, their curriculum, which is propaganda or whatever. But part of that is also shaping maybe how they view their parents and try to start getting the kid to view like looking down as far as like, oh, you're the intellect, kids are already, which we're not anymore, but kids are smarter than their parents is how the progression always goes. So they're, and then part of that I think is also, it's a weird psychological thing. Maybe whenever you have the principal, the administration, they have all their rules and laws for the school and everything. And so whenever the kid and the parent of the kid, if you're in the public school system, basically the public school system says what goes and the parent has to get along. And so what that does is the kid's seeing in a way that their parents' authority be cheapened in front of their eyes by this entity. And I think psychologically it probably and then they're just easily to do it to the government and whatever, you know?
Absolutely. Well put. And especially with the authority point, because what school trains your brain to do is place systemic authority above parental authority. Right. And they do that. And it's not always like with punishment. It's rarely with punishment. In fact, what the only punishment generally tends to be a scapegoat. They'll use one kid and they will target a kid. And I've known kids to be this kid. I felt like I was that kid before. Not that I was getting super punished, but being outside the box and knowing I'll just be blunt about it. I was like more savvy and more intellectual than most of the classes I was in. And my teachers knew it. And they knew it
over there.
Yeah, they knew I was a problem because I would challenge them intellectually and they'd be like, fuck, I looked, if I would say stuff to the teachers, like use sarcasm that the kids didn't even like understand. And they just knew that I was like one-upping them. They knew that I was like, wow, and so like it would undermine their authority. So they'll use somebody to show what discipline could be. Right. And this is very, dictatorial. This is how they do it there too. They'll give you stories in the news about a defector and what happens to them and their family. It's the very same thing. And what I wanted to add to what you're saying is when they are going to school, they are going to school more than they're at home. Mm-hmm. They're seasonally, their bodies are in a cell longer than they are in the sunshine. They are put into another world. It's another world. Another world is raising your kid. And I'm sure somewhere, I'm sure at some levels and different places are different. And there'll be more parental interaction in certain places. Sure, I'm not saying everywhere is just hell and every teacher is out to get. That's not what this is. It's just that the system, regardless, the system is made to do one thing. Even if it doesn't do it perfect, it does it before you do it. And that's the thing they need. It needs to do something before you do something. And you're throwing your kid in there to eat crayons because you got to go work your 2 jobs. And that's the rough part of it. But that at the end of the day, that is setting up the next generation to be worse. That is the cycle that we're in. It's going to take, and the fact is it's actually an evil thing they have going on because they have the parents selling out their kids, whether they know it or not. And I'm for the vast majority, I'm positive they don't know it, but they are absolutely selling out their kids for their own selfish reasons. And they might not think of it in that way, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm sending them to school so I get my time or I get this and that. But that is the reality of it. And
that's what a birth certificate is. A birth certificate is literally the giving
signing away
the government your child.
Yep.
And you are as I heard this somewhere, and you're a parent or a pay rent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like you take care of the kid, but the birth certificate is signing basically to the government you're a kid, then they own it. Who is it? I can't remember who it was that has like a whole big thing about like the straw man, essentially, and a lot of it, the vocabulary with Black's Law Dictionary, how it's maritime, it's all maritime vocab.
Oh my goodness, bro. We're going to get along very well, brother.
Yeah.
We are going to get along very well. I've talked about this multiple times. I wanted to do more about it. Oh, have you ever heard about the siesta laquis? Or I say that wrong. I say it different every single time, but it was in the year 666, of course. Let's see. This is a maritime law where everybody in England or in whatever it was called at that time was considered lost at sea, not dead. Yeah. Exactly. But lost at sea. And the thing about that is legally, and this has to do with bearing arms. I've talked about this people have a misconception about there are 2 definitions about bearing arms, and both the laws are similar. And so you don't understand that the fight to have a gun is the same fight as the one to have a title against the state, like your own name, your own personal, what's the word for it? Crap. I wish I could speak better. Your own title.
Right.
Just like, that in England, it was titles, lords, ladies, barons. They ran shit. You were in the mud with your kid, barely scraping by, waiting for bread lines and things of that nature. And your name does not carry weight. You cannot do anything that those lords and ladies do. Well, they gave people the opportunity to do what the lords and ladies do, and that has to do with
that was the big trick, though. That was the trick, because you gave yourself your control, and that's your free will.
You're in the Bible Belt. You can probably speak on this, that you'll have potentially. I don't know how in modern days, but like from what I've seen of that particular region, because it's so bougie, even though it's like considered like a lower class individual in the South and things like that. I'm talking about since the inception of America. So they say, you have a lot of, plantations and rich, bougie, like, they're not really rednecks. They formed their own type of society. And that was in admiration to like the royalty. It is copying royalty, because they were given land and titles. They were given like a little piece of the pie. And what did they do with that piece of the pie? Did they bring up their brethren? No, they became the royals. Instead, so that's who ran the plantations. You want to know who started the plantations? Jesuits. And that's proven. And still you don't see the NAACP and the black protests against Jesuit colleges and all the strongholds they're allowed to have in the U.S. Interesting how that works. If they do their history, they should know that Jesuits were behind every major plantation in America. But that's another story.
I didn't even know what a Jesuit was until I found Zach.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing?
No, I went familiar word. Like, I think I've heard of a Jesuit. But no, I didn't even have any idea what that was until Zach, he'll tell you. He'll give you the breakdown for sure.
I don't know how to say this. I'll just type it in and see if Google will help me out. Maybe not. I need, let's see, maritime law, lost at sea.
Dude, so the lost at sea thing. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, sorry. Let me go on to that. Okay. Man, it's easy to get sidetracked.
Until you're 7 years old, isn't it?
There might be something to that.
I'm pretty sure that, like, when you sign the birth certificate at the hospital, when a baby's born, the parents sign the birth certificate. It starts this process basically, and the lost at sea. What you're talking about? It's lost. The baby is seen as lost at sea, and you have until 7 years. I'm pretty sure is what he said. And if it's not claimed within 7 years, then basically the government gets ownership. And so that's what, it's a whole trick.
Oh, yes. But that yes. Okay. So that would be the copying of a law from England. The right. Law that I'm talking about here, it might have been France. I'm thinking about it because that's like a French name.
Our legal system is related.
It's direct copy. We are England. We're we're daddy England.
Our judges not daddy, but answer to the crown. Our judges.
They might as well wear the powdered wigs.
Dude, I almost wish they did.
Here we go. Siestu qui vi Act 1666. Of course, I'm looking up 60. That's a little ways away.
Dude, that powdered wig is just ridiculous, though. Oh my gosh, can you imagine having to do that?
But like, think about it. Like that was. Think about the structure of England. Think about the military structure of England. You're out there. You think they liked wearing that shit? You think they liked it? No, they did it because they were modeling in order to get their titles and their crumbs and their trickle down. They had to pay homage to the people who were giving them those titles. And that is the right to bear arms. Bear arms is your arms, your coat of arms, your shield, your emblem on your family flag. And people have no idea that that's conflated with weaponry, because you're not allowed to own weaponry if you don't have a title. That is the fact. And that's why we only have so long to have weapons in this country legally. And you see them chipping away at it every day because it is a conflated thing. When you had real people fight the Supreme Court and set laws, because Otherwise, you would have had an uprising right then and there. George Washington and all those signers and all those guys would have been thrown out of the building if they said, fuck yeah, turn in your weapons right now. We're going to start a country, baby. They would have got destroyed by real people. The only way to get a foothold was to trick people into thinking that is what they stood for. And that's why they're called amendments and not laws, is because they can be amended in the future. They tricked everybody by it. And so, point being is, the initial point is the bearing arms is the main thing. And bearing arms means your title, means your name, your birthright. And so all these people who are lost at sea, think about the percentage of when think about a rebate. Think about a mail-in rebate. I'm going to equate this to a mail-in rebate.
Okay.
Here's the sale price. How many, say you have an oven side by side, another oven. One is 1,000 and the other is 2,000. Very similar features, very similar style, but one says it's worth 2,000, but it has a mail-in rebate for $1,000 off. You're gonna buy the $1,000 base price one, or are you gonna buy the $2,000 one and get $1,000 off? You're going to be drawn to, you think you're saving more money. It's like buying 6 umbrellas. Quality.
This is the better one. It's basically for the same price as the
exactly.
one.
It's like buying 6 umbrellas in the desert just because they buy one, get 5 free.
Oh, dude,
you don't need any of them. But anyway, well, maybe umbrellas are pretty good in the desert, but not for rain.
Dude, my Nana had 7 of the same, one of those our Harbor Freight weed eaters. So it's not like quality one. She had 7 of these cheap ass weed eaters.
That's like the bottom barrier thing. That's where they the best thing you can get that is shit is perfectly good price for your price point. But the next best one that's actually going to potentially last and do the job is $100 more. It's astronomically more. Anyway, yeah. So anyway.
$60. It'll do the fence line 1.5 times, and then before it ships out
in its lifetime, not a day. So you'll have people drawn to the idea that they're saving money. So point being is, of all those people that buy that oven, how many do you think actually go through with the rebate? Mm-hmm. And so it's you all have the chance to come in because there was a major flood. This wasn't just a random thing. There was a major flooding and fires. A lot of people died. A lot of people's parents died. And, we can get into the episodes where we want to talk about what those events were, especially in America too. But what happened is it's impossible for the layman to go and represent themselves in court and tell them that, oh, yes, I am this person and I demand this right now. They didn't feel like they had that ability, and barely anybody did. And so all those belongings, all that land, all those houses, everything that wasn't destroyed, anything became state property. Every single thing and everybody became state property until you come and prove that you are who you are and get your name back. They took your name. You have to come and get it back because there's no proof that that's who you are. And so that is where bearing arms has to do, is because after this, the ruling class started giving the opportunity for you to have lordship, to have a little piece of the pie. And that's where the bourgeoisie came in, and that's where the high society comes in. And why I think of when I think of the South is, mint juleps and darling. And they're all wearing the fancy hairdresses too. It's sweltering mosquitoes everywhere, and they're just
it's like being down here in Georgia. You still see especially, not so much, maybe
I wouldn't assume
my age or whatever, but people that are still alive in their 60s or 70s, there's especially the women, they are so much like that still, not wearing the stuff, but how they talk and a lot of how you your house, how you have guests over and stuff like this. There's different etiquettes or whatever you want.
Etiquette is a great word. It is necessary. Etiquette is a necessary thing. You'll have, funny, the South, it's the South, and I guess the North, when you talk about the North being the tip of New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, Vermont, especially Vermont and Rhode Island, all these places, they have, from my perspective, even when I was young, I would still hear about, kids being sent to sometimes to schools or to certain boarding schools in order to learn etiquette. Like, because they're going to be coming up in a world like they're living, they're not in the inner city Chicago. They're learning which, knives and forks to eat salad with. So,
well, when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, there was a thing called cotillion. Is what it's called.
Cotillion.
Yeah, and so that was like, where I lived, and it was like the popular or the more affluent kids, like it was like the trend that all their parents would send them and make them all do cotillion. My mom would threaten me with it. She, like, if I was like being bad or whatever, she's like, "I'm gonna send you to cotillion." I'm like, no. But that was like a thing to do, and that's what it's all about: etiquette and social etiquette.
Very good. I mean, there you go. Look at the picture they associate it with. It's like this old timey thing, like, oh, people don't do that. For the average person, they won't see this, but
powder wig, check. Yep, we got it.
The high socks, gotta love it. The fit kind of goes hard. Yeah, it might work today.
I'll deal some high socks. That's legit too. I'm not doing a powdered wig though. Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like a humiliation ritual, and as far as like the naughty does today.
What's interesting about that? There's a lot of reasons they say where that came from, because there's a disconnect from like early royalty, which is like also Russian and Prussian, is what the what's considered the United Kingdom modeled their royalty after, because they're like, and think of the Spanish. The Spanish did something very similar as well, but like where they got it from. There's you get into some interesting, highways and byways about, where they got this, like, we should act like the pasty, like a really pasty, big headed, because like, that's what that represents. That's not like a long hair. No one's buying it that they've like the males all grew their hair. I mean, me and you, we got it going. But I'm saying like back in the day, it's not like it wasn't assumed that this is the people's real hair. And obviously, I'm saying like, why adopt that style that would take like feet long hair in order to do your hair? Where did they get that from? It's because, the theory is that they were modeling it after beings that had larger heads, like different shaped heads, and they were pasty white. And then you get into the fallen angels and the Nephilim.
The mitre hat on the Pope, the mitre hat.
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah. Of course. And, until we get a actual black pope, I know there's the the Jesuit pope, or the superior general, but until we actually there was the potential to get an actual black African pope this last one.
Yeah, I remember.
But yeah, until we get one of them, all the popes have been pasty white, like absolutely pasty white. We can't get a guy with a tan, and these are all people from like Italy. Like, why are you so white? Do you step outside? You're a Mediterranean, but like you could tan in 20 minutes.
Right. Well, dude, and then like something as silly as Coneheads, the movie in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And something as silly as that. And like when you like, later on wound up, opening eyes in a certain way, and you can look back on a movie like Coneheads, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And then it clicks and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand.
They tell you the truth in all these mediums. They tell you bits and pieces of the truth and everything. And yeah, that's a great. Damn it, they stole our trash again. I still say that sometimes. But
Coneheads was amazing, dude. That was an amazing movie. Not really, but
it's what cult classic now,
right? Well, I think it's about the
compare it to something now
and desensitizing. I think at a subconscious level, maybe potentially for kind of times that we're finding ourselves in right now with all the disclosure.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what in 3 years from now, they're probably going to release some sort of news or files to where like it's just a common thing. We know that there's elongated skull beings. They're called the this, and they're from back then. Something like that.
And another good point with the desensitizing thing is the sexualization of the alien or the unknown beings type that they love to do in media. Because I remember in Coneheads, like the daughter, they made her like a sex symbol. Like she was wanting to copy the hot cheerleader girl at school, and so she ended up becoming like a sex symbol, and it's just like her cone head became like a
just don't look past this right here. You can just look like
but it became almost like a aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so straight in, which by the way, the horn is an aphrodisiac, so you know, could be something there. But yeah, that's another interesting angle with that whole cone head thing too, which I don't know if I ever saw them all the way through. They always reminded me of what was that? The dinosaurs? Was it just called the dinosaurs?
Are you talking like from the early 90s?
Yeah, it came out at the same time as like Conehead, where it's the same kind of style.
Have like the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, dude, yeah, absolutely.
That's the iconic. The little baby dinosaur. Yeah,
the dad dinosaur was like a construction worker. He had
a blue collar.
Dude, that was awesome. Hey, actually, I saw it was pretty crazy. I need to look back into that, but I saw this thing where it was talking about how sad and how kind of dark the ending of that show was. Like the way that show ended, their final episode or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Something of basically, I can't remember what it was, but what I was watching was a video, and it was about TV shows coming to an end, and like the TV shows, how they wind up wrapping up some of the weirdest and worst, not necessarily in quality, just like bad feeling. A lot of TV shows end and they have some sort of conclusion or like a good feeling, maybe. Like, you know, your subconscious wants to end on a good note. It's even a saying, end on a good note. So ending a show on a bad note, which is actually a kind of a common trend. You hear people, oh my gosh, I can't believe how that show ended. Like Lost. I remember people, I didn't see the show, but I remember people were so upset about how that show ended. And like, if a show actually has a last episode that's good and it leaves the people the viewer, the audience of it, in a good feeling, that's a rare thing. They normally piss people off with the last episode.
It's subversion. It's psychological subversion. It is pulling the rug out. It is not letting us feel like comfortable at any level. It's every major show. You brought up, Lost is one of the ones that was like, I think Lost is because it was like one of the last shows that was available to everybody. That was on a show that all you need is rabbit ears to watch. You didn't need cable.
Where people are watching it at the same time. That's not a thing anymore. You know, really.
I mean, people do, but like, it's not it has to be like Game of Thrones now. It's an HBO show. You got to pay for it and things of that nature. But like Lost was so massive because it was just like on every week. It was like every week it was on, like it was the thing to watch. And to be honest, I remember that show being actually really really cool. The ideas were really cool early on, and then they make it about what else? They make it about a number sequence. The whole show comes down to a number sequence. That show deserves some like decoding and looking into that I've never done, because there's a lot of like mathematical stuff put in that show. But anyway, the ending was absolute bullshit. Same as Game of Thrones. And not that I really loved Game of Thrones. I did watch it the first few seasons, then I stopped watching it. But everyone, I've seen it since, and the ending is absolute trash. It's garbage. But the whole show is garbage. Also, the whole show is about incest. That is the entire theme of Game of Thrones. It has to do with incest. It's just they put a bunch of like gore and sex in front of it, and it makes you. Of course, you have like one of the main couples in that show are brother and sister, so they give you like the scapegoats. Oh, this is the only incest. This is the incest that's going on. No, the whole thing is about incest, and people also think of incest in like royal maintaining bloodlines is what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay.
Not just because you think your cousin's hot, but
really,
shit happens. All right. No, I'm just kidding. but they give you the scapegoat in that show, but they're just the real point of that show is it has to do with, even to this day, I'm talking about Prince Charles and King Charles now, and Prince Andrew and all these things. These guys are inbred. There's levels of inbreeding, and how they do it, how they spread the inbreeding is by they've given up brothers and sisters and moms and dads and children. They've given up on that. They don't do that level of inbreeding anymore. It's a more sophisticated form. Now it is with they mix two families only. They'll bring two families together, and those families will be stuck together. And that means you have a healthy baby here, And once you have a healthy opposite sex baby here, they're going for it. And so it's like aesthetically, or not aesthetically, but optically, it's like inbreeding, because like it's like arranged marriages with like the kids of your kids and things of that nature. And before they did that, it was second cousins and certain things like that. So it's not like it's just been levels away from like true incest. But it is still the same thought process involved. It's just because of the genetic defects, and you can't have a pure line just through incest.
It's good business sense, man. If you're trying, the number one priority is to retain and hold on to power and control.
Yeah, exactly. And with as little pause in the plate as possible, too.
Right. You're not. The more you go outside of your little circle, I mean, you're going to lose control and power with that. Mm-hmm. Each degree further you move from outside. I mean, in that sense, it makes sense why they do that.
Yeah. We completely empathize.
They're diminutive, dude. They're diminutive. They want dominion. They want to control.
Absolutely. So let's rate it here. Just a brief overview. The 1990 sitcom Dinosaurs ended with one of the bleakest and most shocking series finales in television history. Instead of a happy ending, the final episode, titled Changing Nature, concluded with the entire dinosaur race going extinct due to a man-made ice age. Dude, and from what I remember, it had to do with the dinosaur. The father dinosaur, I think, had like a problem at his work or something. Let's see.
What does it say down here? It says something about the mating grounds. Poppies.
Oh,
it's kind of like the opioid epidemic with like Afghanistan and stuff. It was talking about poppies. That's interesting.
The mess. Earl's Corporation accidentally destroys the mating grounds of the bunch beetle. So it was the place he worked for. I do remember that.
Hey, what is
unchecked?
It's in quotations. What is bunch beetles?
Bunch beetles? I'm sure it's just like, good point.
In the Gemotrinator. Yeah, let's see what I see.
Bunch beetles, 68.
So, all right.
Let's see. All right. Oops. Dinosaur got the conspiracy 123, the Illuminati 60, 120. Anyway, mating grounds of the bunch beetles causing unchecked cider poppies to overgrow and take over Pangea. And that's the other funny thing too, is this is set in when the world was all still together, which now they're talking about New Pangea or whatever, and the tectonic plates fusing back together potentially through earthquake or tectonic activity. They've talked about that for a while, but or the water's receding and showing that everything is still connected at a lower level, that it's just water covering it up. Anyway, the poison, in an attempt to eradicate the poppies, Earl's company sprays a defoliant that accidentally kills all plant life on Earth. Wow, that's not relatable at all.
Dude, this is crazy how like predictive programming this is like kind of lining out to be, you know?
In the Ice Age, to reverse the plant loss, they drop bombs into volcanoes to create rain clouds. Yo! Okay, all right. Let me read this first. The plan backfires, plunging the world into a massive sun-blocking freezing winter. Dropping bombs into volcanoes to create rain clouds. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. The final scene, the Sinclair family huddles together in their living room as the snow falls on their home. Earl apologizes to his family for taking nature for granted, and the broadcast cuts to the news anchor, who eerily signs off with "Good night, goodbye," before the screen fades to black. Yikes.
Yeah, what an exit. Dude, that's crazy. The last name was Sinclair, you know, and you think they talk about oil being from dinosaur bones and blah, blah.
Is Sinclair an oil family?
Yeah. Sinclair is and they literally had the dinosaurs.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they say oil. The oil is, absolute. And shit. They actually have the dinosaur on the logo?
Yeah, like the old school. I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, like 5 years old, there was one in Springfield, Missouri, where I used to live. There was one that had this. May 1st, 51.
Okay, so were they the proprietors of the show?
It has to be corporate. It has to be. You know what I mean?
Okay, I think it did say Sinclair Dinosaurs.
It was a big oil sitcom. It was a TV show run by Big Oil right there.
I saw some.
It is a cool sign.
There's no way that that's a coincidence. That's fantastic, dude. I gotta look in on this. This is crazy. Okay, so this is like an early case of like getting ahead of the marketing, like getting ahead and saying, oh, subconsciously saying, oh, we care about the environment, don't make these mistakes. Meanwhile, they're just like drilling anywhere and causing untold devastation wherever they go.
Green, the whole green environmental.
Oh, good point.
That just pisses me off that like hey, go back real quick, if you don't mind. So right here, it says dinosaurs initially set in, what is that? 60
billion BC, 60 million BC.
Right. And didn't you, when you typed it in the gematria, didn't dinosaurs equal 60?
I believe so. Absolutely.
And there it is. Boom. All right. I get it.
Couldn't pick a better time. Couldn't have been 59 billion BC.
Yeah, all right.
I've talked about multiple times too. That's just their bullshit numbers they throw out. It's like, oh yeah, this boat is. You can tell that the dinosaur happened to be crossing this, and you got to understand that this used to be a polar region, and they're sitting in like a swamp somewhere, and they're like, we know that 55 million years ago that the swamp-beaked ducket dinosaur used to roam these waters, and I can see one now, and it's just like, because of this bone we have, we know that their dorsal fins were about 16 feet long. Do you like that, kid? 16 feet? It's just like the shit they pull out of their ass. I could do this all day. If they paid me to do it, I would do it too. Just like make up shit on the spot about nothing, and it's just like, oh yeah, 58 billion years ago, right before the trillion-year collapse of the volcano tectonic region. We had a lot of interior flooding inside this zone, and so that's why you have this intense buildup of this particular algae. It's just like,
it's all bullshit anyway. It's like all bullshit anyway. But my personal opinion, one of their tells, anytime you're seeing like a science or an expert speaking on something like this or whatever, anytime the expert's speaking, whenever you see the person, they have that look in their eyes and that little like kind of pompous grin or smirk. Dude, that is the tell. It's like a poker tell. It's the same thing. It's like, this is absolute shit. I'm telling you right now.
It's the ego you get.
Look. And
it's the ego they get knowing that no one can like prove them wrong, because no one can prove them right either. So it's like
that Teflon Don bulletproof mentality right there.
Yeah. This is worth looking into. This Sinclair oil. This is crazy.
Yeah. March 15th. What was that saying?
Founded on Illuminati's birth. Okay, come on, guy.
And the Ides of March, it went defunct 4 years ago.
Okay. All righty. Yeah, absolutely. Good catch there too. May 1st founding. Interesting. Okay, who's their founder? Harry Sinclair. The rabbit holes, guys.
It's unbelievable how things
what was his
match up. It blows my mind, dude.
Harry F. Sinclair. Let's see. Harry Ford Sinclair, of course.
My gosh.
An American industrialist. No wonder.
We're talking about this nepotism, whole game plan here. Okay, man. Okay.
Wow, and he's tied to the horse races too, which of course we just had those go.
7/6 birthday.
Oh, that's
and dies.
His birthday.
We've been talking about the 111, 11 dead, 1 injured, 11 skydivers, 1 pilot.
November 10th.
New York 111. Yep, November 10th.
Like October 11th. Yeah.
19.
And he's got George Bush's birthday too.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder where he went to school. Right? Can I imagine? This is not just show. It usually shows it.
Right. That's interesting to think about. Like with oil, and sometimes you think Texas, all that. I was saying West Virginia for him, but.
Oh, come on. Where did he go to college?
That is crazy. It's talking about the Belmont Stakes. Like, that's relevant to didn't they just run
Yes,
Belmont?
exactly. Yes. Golden Tempo won again. More golden in the news. Where you think they were? Oh, okay. Oh wait, no, that's where he worked. Man,
Southeastern Kansas.
I guess he could have went to the University of Kansas. I just let me try it more. I want to know where he went to college.
I went to a 311 concert in Lawrence where KU is. That was fun. That was a good time.
People will often bring up 311 for this, like in when the esoteric symbology that they, not just in their name, but
like whenever I was a fan of 311 and like growing up, like in my teens and my 20s, like I don't know, I've probably been to 20, 25 311 shows. I've been to 2 311 days. And I had, it's a band whose name is a number, and now I'm all about the numbers. Had no idea all that time, Well, the surface level. Oh, it means K is the 11th letter. You see, whatever. When really, more accurately, 311 is 201 base 8, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's what it has more to do with than, K being the 11th letter, and there's 3 of them.
This is very, very interesting.
Yeah, 76 and 76, man.
Died in California. I mean, these pictures were taken very early on, too. Early in photography's age, at least.
Dude, it's just like how is it is a dream, the American dream. It is a dream because like how is anyone who is not in a bloodline or in one of those nepotistic circles, dude, you got no chance, dude. This dude's literally oil last name and Ford.
You think it was his stunning good looks that got him where he was? No.
Nah, but that was a pretty sweet fedora he had, though.
Oh yeah, he was dapper. I'm not gonna give him that. I'm gonna give him that all day long.
I mean, he looked straight mob, dude. That's what he looked like.
Yeah, it probably has a good amount of sway in his day.
So basically, his name is Harry Ford, and then you have Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, yeah, very, very similar.
They're like cousins, probably.
I mean, there's just no reason for. I mean, I would assume that Ford has something to do with whether or not they put it out there. It has something to do with a mixing of the families.
Well, dude, you know that show that was.
I mean, he's an oil tycoon, whereas the Fords are automotive tycoons. It's like, match made in heaven.
Like a glove. The glove does fit, dude. But we still ain't gonna quit.
Never.
No. What was I gonna say? It was I can't remember. It went out.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It was whatever.
Well, hey, you know what's good about these shows too is like anybody watching, there's a little homework. Do some digging and bring something to the table in the comments or the email or whatever, because there's some very interesting things going on here. And I do want to end on a slight little like I was talking about earlier, the whole Buffy another death thing, because like I said, I kind of do it for my sister in case she watches the episode. She can get up to date on it and stuff. Like I said, she was addicted to this damn show.
That was the guy Anthony Head, right?
Okay. Yeah. And so the things I was able to pull up just briefly is just doing the gematria here. Let me. I won't no bother clearing it. His name, his full name, and what was it? Anthony Stewart. Of course I don't. Whatever.
Dude, yeah. Hey, just real quick.
Yeah.
We talk about the NASCAR on the UTTV. His name's Anthony Stewart, Tony Stewart, right?
Oh yeah, good point. Very good point.
It's Tony Stewart.
Ooh. What day did he die? What day was?
It said June
5th. It was June 5th.
You said the June 1st, but that wasn't the correct one.
Yeah,
like
no.
What did you say?
June 5th was.
He's got the 182. I see down there the Anthony Head in reverse, just the Anthony Head, which is like Blink 182.
June 5th was a Friday.
Conspiracy, right?
Blink 182 is an interesting one, man.
Yeah.
I like some of their music, but yeah, they're.
I trust Tom DeLonge as far as I could throw him. I think.
No, he's been visited, bro. Don't worry, I can trust him. Right, he's the one that says he's talked to aliens, right, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So it was a Friday. Interesting. Oh, dude. Oh, no way. Did Tony Stewart race Friday? He does the trucks. Trucks run on Friday. Yo.
Dude, I bet you there's some sort of correlation. Laps led.
He doesn't do every race. He doesn't run every race, but he let's see. Did he race? This might not be the best way to look it up. Oh, he's in the news about Kyle Busch just yesterday. Interesting.
Tone deaf a-holes.
Yeah, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Because he doesn't do the like actual truck series every race, but he does do another series that's like less notoriety or whatever.
Yeah, okay. I see. Didn't he get in a fight? Didn't he like beat one of the drivers? Or no?
No, he killed the driver.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
We highlighted that. One of my favorite thumbnails I did. It was like, it's messed up. It's messed up what I did. No, exactly. In fact, it kind of spit on the dead guy, because in order to like clear his name, he had to basically prove that the other guy was
the guy didn't know what he was doing, man. The guy didn't know. All right, it's his problem.
There's no way that stepping out like 3 feet ahead of you, you wouldn't assume that a professional car driver couldn't turn before he rans into you. Obviously, the guy was heated out of his mind, and he was, willing to like be in the middle of a course. That's not smart. No one's saying that's smart, but like Tony Stewart, the idea that he couldn't react, that's a bit wild to me.
Whenever you're talking about the other guy being heated, and Tony Stewart has a whole careers of evidence of him being heated and doing all sorts of, I mean, how many people's he wrecked that's known of? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he just killed the dude. His last one, November 20th. No, what does that say?
I guess.
Full NASCAR Cup Series.
Oh, not NASCAR.
That's just regular. That's not trucks, right?
Yeah, last truck. Because he was sponsored, I think, by Dodge. Because Dodge were making their way back at.
Okay, a few months ago.
Okay, so it was early on. So he does. Like I said, he doesn't.
How many days from that day to
13?
Whenever Anthony Head died? Look at that. And Anthony Head's got the 94, just like New York Knicks with all the 94. With that.
Oh, good point.
It's one with 94.
No, it didn't really pocket that. 112 days. Let's see. 16 weeks on the nose. Wow. With all the Greg Biffle 16 stuff they've been doing in NASCAR.
Oh, wow. And anytime it's on the nose.
And Kyle Busch drove number 16.
Yeah. Wow.
I think. Yeah. No, he did. Yeah. 3 months and 3 weeks. Of course, 2 days too, but interesting.
Dude, so what was the official reasoning that they gave cause of death for Michelle Trachtenberg?
Good. Let's check.
Dude, October 11th, man.
When I covered this, they might not have already, or I just remember. No, that's right. Not natural causes, and it's still that. They say complications from diabetes.
Hey, I'm 39,
at
bro.
39 in New York. She's from New York, 39, big in New York. Like
that's
you mentioned earlier.
I'm the same age as her. So that's like me, just natural causes right now.
Wow, you seem younger.
Yeah, I've been told that.
I thought we were. Well, we're not that different. We're not that far apart. I'm 36, so.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to be 40 next year.
Hell yeah, dude.
I can't believe that.
Diabetes mellitus. I think that had some funny stuff going on. But let me just do this real quick. Let's get these out of the way, and then we'll tie in the other guys, or at least go quickly look at them, and then I do got to wrap it up. But it's been such a great episode so far. I could do this all night if I could. But So yeah, just interestingly enough, as you see here, he's got the 52 and the 77. Well, Sarah Michelle Gellar, the main star of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, also they were going to reprise the show, but it actually got dropped by Hulu just very recently. Up until not that long ago, it was going to be happening, and apparently they had a massive budget and they were like way over budget, but it was to make sure they made a good product and all this stuff, but they didn't. Their pilot got dropped, so they're not picked up. I'm sure they will get picked up by something, and it'll be different than like maybe a major streaming service like it was going to be on Hulu, but we'll see how they play it. But either way, from her birthday, from her birthday, April 14th.
And that Abraham Lincoln died on that day, I think, right?
April 14th?
I think so.
April 15th, a day later. You know what's funny about that? I'm pretty sure there's an episode of Buffy where like Abraham Lincoln, but then again, they did do Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. They did do that. Do you remember that?
Abraham. Oh yes, yeah, dude. That was like 5 years ago, probably somewhere around there.
You know, hopefully longer than that. But yeah, they did do that. So
the movie you're talking about, the movie where it was like zombies.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I never saw it, but I remember
me neither
seeing that was a thing.
Vampire Hunter, same difference.
So her birthday is February 12th.
Whose? It's April 14th.
What? I just saw something that said February 12th. What is that?
Was that Anthony Hill's birthday? No.
February 20th. Back
it up a little bit. His birthday is February 20th. Who was it? April 12th. Hers wasn't. Hers is my sister's birthday.
Never mind.
Another February one. That's interesting.
Because Anthony Head's name equaled the reverse of that. February 12th, I saw his name equals 221. It was a reverse inflection of it. I mean.
Oh, it was Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
Okay, yeah. So 1/2/2, like 122, and then Anthony Head equals 221, the reflection.
Yeah. Interesting. He did die on his like death anniversary eve, or her Sarah Michelle Gellar's birthday.
Do you know who it was? It wasn't Abraham Lincoln. It was Martin Luther King. Is the April 14th.
I see. Either way, having all these guys like lumped together so close with their birthdays is very interesting how they do it. Yeah.
April 4th. Damn it. No.
He died April 4th. Yeah. He died 4/4. That's Georgian. I could look up a prominent
Dude, I can't believe my power hasn't gone out.
Oh, he was shot April 14th. He died the next day.
That's what it is. Okay.
So yeah, that's the whole the plot happened on that day. So that's why it's a famous day, is because that's the day he was shot in Ford Theater, correct?
Yeah. I went to DC in like 8th grade for like a trip for our school took, you know what I'm saying? So we went to allegedly where I saw the bed that he passed away on, surely.
Oh yeah.
That's the one thing that I had gotten in this whole entire life experience, was that I saw his actual bed he died in. Yeah.
Should have laid in it. Harnessed his energy. But so yeah, from as you can see here, it's 52 days after her birthday he died, and his name, his full first and last name equals 52. To double down on that, from Ready or Not 2, her latest movie, Sarah Michelle Gellar, that premiered March 20th. And from March 20th, from that premiere to his death, was 77 days, like his full name is with his middle name, 77.
The premiere was on April 20th, you said? Or March 20th?
It was on March 20th, yeah.
And he was in that?
No. It's just from Sarah Michelle Gellar's last film.
Gotcha.
if I remember correctly, Nicholas Brennan's death had a lot to do with the premiere of Ready or Not 2. Oh yeah, I have him open already. I'm pretty sure he died the day of the premiere.
Dude, come on, man.
and I talked about this too. Like, they're in the last episode together called Chosen, and of course, in that episode, randomly, like I said, I watched the whole show. It's not like this guy's character Xander and Dawn, which is Buffy's little sister, Michelle Trachtenberg, were like super tight knit characters together. This guy had his whole other like girl until she like died right before his like girlfriend in the show, like not died in real life, but who knows? That's probably an omen. We might want to check in on her, see how she's doing. But
look, it says right here on May 5th, the coroner, probably his updated cause of death, but you got the 55 right there.
Yeah, May 5th. Oh, I wonder if there's new news. But yeah, this is another one. He died of natural causes.
Dude,
Both of them died at 54.
Like 40 years old?
He was 54, which is interesting as well.
There you go.
And now you have Anthony dying at 72. So you got 54 and 72. What are those numbers? Where have we seen those before? 54, 72. And oh yeah, so I mean, also, what is it? I think more simply too, you could just say, Vampire Slayer. That equals 65. He dies on June 5th, which is also has the 187 like
187 on a
Society of Jesus, right?
Boom. And the 79 double
and
dash.
The 79 as well. But yeah, back to, so I mean, it was clear cut. I covered this, and I included the Michelle Trachtenberg death. And oh yeah, like I was saying, their characters weren't close in the show, but the last episode of the season, one of the last shots of the show, the entire show, was his character and her character like shoulder to shoulder hugging each other, and they're the first two to die of the cast. And now the instructor guy dies, this Anthony Head, and it's I'm trying to remember. No, he was not the original from the. There was definitely a different. I don't think. Yeah, he's still named Giles, I think, but like you were mentioning, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, he was a different actor altogether. But anyway.
So can you see where you had the gematria with the values?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just from what we've looked at just in the past couple minutes, I've seen a theme. Okay. So we were looking at Anthony Stewart Head, his full name equaling the 221, which was the reverse of, was it Abraham Lincoln's birthday, I think, right?
Yes.
So then with Abraham Lincoln, we can go ahead and kind of categorize assassination. Now go down to the Anthony Head, leave out the middle name. He's got the 115, which I believe is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So again, categorize assassination, and then also Anthony Head equaling the 40.
Oh yeah, January 15th. Yeah,
so he's like having relations with assassination individuals who have been assassinated, and then also has the reverse reduction of 47. So maybe pointing to something. I don't know.
God forbid assassination. What are the numbers on assassination? Oops. I've typed it in so many times recently with all the Trump crap. I should know it by now. Which is like,
you got the 16 or the 160, like we were just looking at all the 16s.
Of course, has the 191 like Society of Jesus, which is not arbitrary.
So this is kind of making some sense, dude. There's been so many 16s tied with championships, whether in sports in general, whether it be college basketball, football, all this 16 and championships has been like a trend. And so, there's theories out there of what could potentially happen to certain people in the coming future, right? And so the 160, assassination equaling 160, and then you take how 16 has been an
so
element
prominent.
in all these championships in all the different sports of the last year.
I mean, yeah, starting in with, well, maybe not starting, but if you think about it, major rituals with like Seattle winning the Super Bowl revolving around 16, they had the 16-point comeback, the record-setting fourth quarter comeback, down to, what was the other 16 in this? It's Super Bowl related too, but of course this was right on the back of Phillip Rivers, that whole ritual they did with the flooding in Seattle. This was I think it was right after the Greg Biffle plane crash, and he's one of the most famous 16s.
Of your UTTV, when the flooding was going on. Like, dude, that you guys had such an awesome episode on that.
That shit was just so fun to talk about. It was just so easy.
Dude. Oh my god,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and it's that phonetically, phonetics, I don't think get enough credit.
I agree.
What's the word? Also, etymology and phonetics are like super important.
I'm addicted to etymology, dude. Yeah, etymology is one of the most important, in my opinion, because it's one of the most important things, because if you kind of get a general idea how to etymologize, I don't even know if that's a word.
That works.
Do the etymology on what you're reading or what you're seeing, whether it be on signs or especially like legal documents or something like that. Like, if you actually be able to break down what that word means, like, it's crazy. There's so many things that are we kind of see in, you grow up and there's certain sayings, or certain slogans or certain phrases people use, and it just kind of water off a duck's back, or you're so used to it, you're so desensitized to it, you don't actually really think about what it means. But then once I started getting into etymology, and then you hear some of these old sayings from growing up as a kid, and then like you think about it for a second, and it's like, it's like a revelation. You're like, oh my gosh, now I totally understand. I can't think of anything specific example on that right now, but your level of understanding your surroundings, because your surroundings is kind of how you exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's words and signs everywhere all around you. And that's kind of how you live. You live with messages being presented to you in different forms and fashions. And so understanding how to break down the word to actually know what that word means, super important. One of the most important things in my opinion.
Well, while we're on topic, and you mentioned that episode, we covered one of the first things I did when breaking that down was look at the etymology of Phillip. And he comes back out of retirement with what team? Oh, the Colts, to go to Seattle where they're flooding. And who's the god of horses? Oh, Neptune, the god of the sea and floods and storms. Oh, so you look at, like, there was nobody else that was going to play that game. Nobody else was going to be, and like the big deal they made out of it too. And the fact is, he outplayed the Seattle quarterback. They did lose. They lost by a field goal. In that game, the Seattle Seahawks won by kicking, I think, 6 field goals. No touchdowns were scored. Only Phillip Rivers scored a touchdown. So he was the superior quarterback, even though he came out of retirement. He's washed and old. Washed is another word that's used for older quarterbacks. Washed, water, another aquatic word. But yeah, the lover of horses.
Water as an element of, like, in so many different things. We were talking about the maritime and the judicial system, or just saying like that. Wash. There's so much currency.
Your liquid assets.
Exactly.
Yeah, currency is a great one too. But yeah, there's an example for you that just right on topic, that they use the guy whose etymology means lover of horses to come to town. And in the little thumbnail, I have him like holding a garden hose, and like I had a picture of the city flooding, and like he's like holding a garden hose, and in the background there's like Poseidon like with a big horse. Because a lot of people don't know that about Poseidon, is that he ruled over horses, the equine. Not just like
until I heard it from your guys' show.
Not just like myrmidons or whatever, or not myrmidons. There's that other sea creature in like Greek folklore that's like a water horse, but no, he does those too, but also just horses.
Well, and so this was right before they're going up into play Seattle, and then Seattle wound up winning with Neptune. Trident is with Neptune, right?
And of course, and that's big in Seattle is the whole, the Magnus and Clemente. Oh, but also we mentioned this. Yeah, the Mariners right next door. They're literally in measure of feet away from what's the, I don't know whatever, it used to be Quest Field, it used to be anyway, Safeco Field is just right next. I think even it has a different name now, but where the Mariners play, and like all season long, which by the way, the Mariners had one of their best seasons like ever in the last, like since 2001, where we like where they set the record for like wins. They yeah, they had a great playoff run. And you look at here, let's go look at Seattle fans. But either way, like even not just the fans holding the trident, but Seattle Mariners, they have a trident that the team like uses as like a prop. It's not gonna want the logo, but like, how do I say this? Either way, just take my word for it. You guys can look it up, or you already know what I'm talking about. But like, say like they score, you know, the guy who's waiting on deck or something, he'll grab the trident and he'll like pump up the crowd, and everybody in the crowd. Trident
like
is definitely
celebration prop, basically.
Of course, but it's also like, what's that word? I had trouble thinking of the word last week too. Wow. But like when you like praise a deity,
like idolatry or something.
Yes, it is that. But oh my god, I'm trying to think of, I think the word from like Age of Empires, like what they used in that. What is it? It's a good one. Anyway, whatever. But the word, it's worship. It's yes, using, you know, a symbol as for idol worship, absolutely. And you know, you got all the fans going nuts, and they have prop tridents of their own, and the tridents on their hat, and people don't understand the symbology or anything that means. But obviously, the connection with Seattle and New York with 9/11, the Magnuson Clement gig, making the Twin Towers that have the tridents on them, and you see what happened there.
Dude, that explosion that happened at that plant in New York, maybe like a few weeks ago, I noticed that the place in New York where that explosion, the plant that blew up there, it was in an area called Mariner Lake. So there was I thought that was pretty interesting. And then again, the New York and Seattle connection, you know.
1 dead, 36 injured.
But there was like a one of the news clips or whatever, and the angle that they had it, there was a little sign, like it was like the neighborhood of Mariner Lake is what the place was called.
That's a great catch.
Yeah, the Staten Island shipyard. That's what it was. Not a plant. It was a shipyard.
Wait, what blows up at a shipyard?
Dude, and then what, like 2 days later there's another thing blowing up somewhere else, you know, like when these things come in bunches like that, how's that not just super obvious to, you know what I'm saying?
It's like all the bridge collapses and the boats ramming into bridges. It's just like, you guys aren't seeing this?
There's no authenticity whenever like something like this happening, a rare thing. Whenever there's 5 that happen in a month and a half time frame, dude, it's full of shit, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not real.
Mariners Harbor says it right there.
Okay, it might have been Mariner Harbor, not Lake. My bad.
Either way, that's a good catch. Even then, even without them saying it, well, no, they'd have to say it, because nowadays you don't call those people mariners. There's no mariners going through there. It's just transportation. It's shipping transportation. But you know, at one point it would have been fleets of fishermen, so they would have been mariners at one point. But right. That's interesting. So they do. That's how they keep homage to, like, the symbol is by the name, the actual name of the harbor. Interesting. And like, yeah, what blows up at a? I looked. I didn't see him say what blew up. The fire broke out, but what blew up? I guess maybe
PM.
Oh wow.
30 p.m.
Oh come on.
Oh yeah. In New York as well. Okay.
Of course.
34 fire department. So.
Well, members blah blah blah. An explosion occurred, injuring. Okay. What?
Despacito. It's like that song. What was that song called? Despacito or something?
Oh, Despacito. Right. Oh my God! You see the trading? I don't care. I hate that song. I don't want it in my head.
Yeah, dude, that Despacito is a psyop.
Of course.
Absolutely. Dude, so I was watching this. I can't remember who exactly, but they were on some tip, basically not tip, like as in like they got a tip, but like they have this. They're kind of looking out for a potential death of someone that is 84 years old, right now. And someone had brought to this person's attention that Paul McCartney. They'd seen an article about Paul McCartney and it was mentioning how he was 84. And so I had heard that like a week ago or something like that. But then today I saw that one of the headlines was that Mitch McConnell has been hospitalized. And in the article made sure to mention that he is 84. So I'm thinking like, what a picture, dude.
A handsome gent. That's what it is.
He's got no chin.
Wait, is he in the U.S. Congress or the Whoville Congress? Like, what's going on here?
That's unbelievable. How did what? That's mockery in itself.
I'd vote for him over and over and over again, given the chance.
For them to have his main picture be this, that is a mockery. You know, like the fact that anyone would accept that as like legit. Like this is the picture, Sheffield, Alabama. Okay,
I see that. And they've been doing psyops with him for a while. Him freezing up for like a minute straight,
falling over, he get bruised up, all this weird stuff. That's like. In my opinion, is that with old Sleepy Joe. Now they're doing the same thing with Trump. What they're basically just trying to do is get everybody and then also with the nasty stuff that has been going on and finding out all those things, but incompetence and just wretched behavior and values that these people have. And it's a total intentional to take the integrity of the U.S. government and make everybody just the same thing that we were talking about with AI taking over people positions and not having actual human workers. Same thing with this government. They want a new system, right? And so they have to make sure that everybody is so fed up with the government as it is now that we are willing to welcome in a new system, because we cannot deal with these e-file falling over. Now everyone gets dementia that gets voted into office. They all get dementia like a year in. You see what I'm saying? It's acting.
I didn't want to click on this. Did you hear about this movie? It was a pretty recent movie called Mercy with Chris Pratt. It's about an AI judge. Like they all live in the dystopian future, and everything that's the judicial system is all AI.
This is like Minority Report, the 2000.
Very Minority Report, Minority Report,
dude,
which is
that's scary stuff.
Those kind of movies are so good. First of all, Tom Cruise just does all he does is disclosure. That's all he does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, that's all he does. He did another movie too that was like a futuristic movie.
Yeah, when someone wakes up to the fact that the CIA basically started Hollywood, and then they realize how how intertwined that the intelligence is with Hollywood productions, and then you see Tom Cruise, and then it all clicks and makes total sense. Oh, this guy's job is to show people what we want to do, disclose this or desensitize with this. Be a Scientologist and freak everybody out. You know?
Yeah, jump on Oprah's couch and go nuts. I love this woman.
And like with Tom Cruise, it's in the roles he's played in his career, but also an element to Tom Cruise is like, this is part of his public character that they have. Tom Cruise as a public character, right? Mm-hmm. So he plays these different roles, but Tom Cruise, but that's a character. And so one element to the Tom Cruise character is like not aging. Think about that.
Oh yeah.
He does his MI6. He's like 50 something. You know what I'm saying? It's like this whole. He doesn't age in a sense. It's like that's what they focus on. Tom Cruise still being and looking 20 years younger. Blah blah whatever. I don't know how many things I've seen about Tom Cruise being and acting like he's like 20 years younger than he actually is. It's like there's
absolutely. And I like your take on that too. We'll have to get into it on another episode, but like what you're saying is like how I would describe it too. I would never, I might slip up and just, for ease of speaking, say, he plays a character, but what I would really mean is something more along the lines of what you're saying, like the character of Tom Cruise. This guy is, in my opinion, a mole person. I call them mole people. These people, there are networks of people underground, and they give up their children, and they become the Manchurians that take on the roles in our society. And that these people aren't from places. That's what it's like. Their backgrounds are made up. They're fake. You know.
Dude, I think so many of these public figures are not even natural in any sense of the way. I think that they are lab people. My personal opinion, I think that they are created in labs. I don't think they have a biological parents necessarily.
Well, do you know about Fallout? Are you aware of Fallout, the video game series?
I've heard of the video game, and I think they made a movie of it too. I have not seen it though.
No, it's a show. So, but it still covers a lot of the stuff. But
that's got the guy with no nose, right? He's got his face is all eaten.
Yes, he's a ghoul. But yeah, that the latest entry of Fallout, if you don't count the MMO they made, it is basically it just tells you, in my opinion, what it is. It tells you what it is that there's what's called the Institute, and they live in these vaults underground, and that's what the whole premise of Fallout is that back before the nukes dropped, fighting against Russia and China, the government started building massive vaults. And when I say started, I mean decades before that ever happened. So way planned in advance. They made super technologically advanced vaults, and each vault had a different program that it was set to do. So it would bring in people, and it would bring in people depending on certain parameters. And, you know, certain vaults would only bring in children. Certain vaults would only do certain things, and they'd run government experimental tests. And basically, but at the same time, there was a hierarchy. There was like a higher people that lived in a society called the Institute. And those people had their own like ark. They lived in the ark underground while the nukes were going off. And they were just living in luxury and perfect health and greatness, leading all the experiments on all these other vaults and everything. But there's so much. One of my favorite like disclosure things was a commercial during a Super Bowl with Ewan McGregor, where it was like a beer commercial. I think it might have, if it was a Corona commercial, that's hilarious. But it was, or no, I think it was just a travel commercial. It was actually just a travel commercial. But it basically shows him walking through tunnels after tunnels after tunnels with a bunch of people getting in character to like, here, let's just find it. Travel in tunnel. But at the end, he opens a door and he's like on a beach. It was definitely Expedia.
Oh, dude, I used to work for Expedia.
Really?
It's kind of crazy because you're in Washington and our Expedia headquarters is in Bellevue, Washington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Bellevue. Yeah, that's a weird place.
Facilities was in Springfield, Missouri. They took our old airport and that's where they turned it into Expedia. So I worked for technically hotels.com, but Expedia is an umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
Travelocity, hotels.com, all these different things. But yeah, I used to work for Expedia.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear it. No.
Okay. I have it's
subtitles
a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. It might be better that you can't hear it because then I don't get. But anyway,
right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it should work. I haven't figured out why it doesn't work, so I'll work on that at some point because I will want. Anyway, whatever. It's the subtitles. Do you see in what they're showing you? They're just like, oh, that door opens and there's like people being filmed going into the southwest of the United States. Like why would you be filming? Like, what's going on here? Oh, puppies. Look at that. That's a trick too. Look at the cute puppies. Look at the girl in the dress. Look at,
the hair blown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the TVs being thinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Okay, and then look to the left over here, it's talking about the medieval ages, which a lot of people talk about the medieval times. There's a lot of people that have theorized that that's completely fabricated, a lot of that stuff.
I would tend to agree. And I would also tend to agree that the Wild West never happened.
Right, exactly.
That was fake. And like the pop-up towns, they might have existed, but it was, anyway, it's got to be another episode.
Yeah. I'm totally with you though, dude. That was like finding out sports were fake after I found Zach. Oh man, that was like a whole thing, a revolution. But also just more recently, maybe within like just the last couple of years, is when I've heard about, Cowboys and Indians being a fake thing too. And I'm just like, man.
I've talked about it a couple times, but look into Buffalo Bill.
Okay.
That's why he's so famous. That's why he is like talk about like an icon that's past it, like that's like art, like arcing over the like theme. Buffalo Bill is like larger than life.
Dude, might as well be half the bourbon whiskeys have some form of his name in it,
and then he might as well like be Paul Bunyan. It's one of it's folklore basically, but he is a real person. He was a real person, and he was involved with the very first early American pointed at children media, film media in America. Wow. And so they pointed a television program to the kids to talk about what it's like in the Wild West. And there's really no proof otherwise. Billy the Kid, or maybe Billy the Kid is a little further. The Billy the Kid is considered West. Yeah, that's like Wild West. Yeah, those things are all just fabrications.
You're making this point right now about that as far as the Wild West goes. Absolutely. And then what were we just talking about earlier? The dinosaurs TV show. Yeah. Same thing. It's telling you, hey, look at these dinosaurs and blah, blah, blah. You see what I'm saying?
And even putting the dinosaurs in like sympathetic positions, like so you can like see yourself as a dinosaur, so you empathize with them, and then that bypasses you having to even think whether or not they're real or not, because you already like have a different opinion about them. I talk about this all the time, is they'll bypass your initial want to question something by like taking away you'll assume that something you won't even think about questioning whether or not like dinosaurs are real. They'll get you stuck on something, whether or not like dinosaurs turned into oil. Like they'll stick you there and they'll say, oh, there is a conspiracy. Even the government isn't 100% sure, but we have our theories. And then you'll say, oh, see, look, they are not even too sure about this, and that'll make you think that they knew about that. Right. And they just don't know about this, but no, they didn't know that shit either. They're just like, and so
the way that they set up this system, this reality, and as far as like what we are told and what we learn, the layers and the way that they piece together this deceptive puzzle, if you will, I don't know, is unbelievable, dude. Like there's so many layers, and they have it coded and put together and presented in a way that where you think you like uncover something and you like overturn a stone, you think you found something. That's exactly where they want you, and then they're gonna take you with your little nugget that you found, and instead of actually getting to like closer to real truth, it's like they take the fact that you get that win or success, and then they just hijack you.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
and then you're down there for a while, and it takes forever to come back out of something like that.
And you lose interest, and you never make it back.
The whole time you did have some relative, like significant nugget of awakening about something, but then they hijack you on that thing, and you wind up going down this other avenue, and thinking that you have it all figured out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then because you might as well be the guy who doesn't know anything.
Well, because what they wind up doing is you talk about having open-mindedness instead of being closed-minded and having this open mind to see these things. But when you got to be careful when you kind of figure out or find an element of truth here or there, that is a crucial moment to where like the system or they can hijack that moment. And it's kind of a moment of vulnerability as far as open-mindedness goes. And they can start shutting that open mind a little bit.
Exactly. They can start narrowing your path.
Exactly.
They'll narrow your path backwards, and you'll think you're walking forwards, but it's like an optical illusion, because like along the way you'll think you're getting closer and closer, but it's like that. It's like the extending hallway trick. You're just going towards like, it's like how you can always divide by half and never get to zero. You'll just keep dividing by half and never find
And it's
the
such
true
a
source,
process.
and you're going to close all the boxes along the way, so you're losing sight on things. It's narrow.
It just takes a couple rounds of that, like finding an element of truth and then it narrowing your open mind a little bit. It only takes a few of those to where all of a sudden now you're sitting back at where you're half as open-minded as you were before, and it's just because you got so focused down this one track and this one avenue.
It's very, and that's what's that called? That's it's like co-op. It's like the co-op. It's what is it like when they own the anti-information. It's like you think you're going to the anti-information that's like opposite what the system is putting out, but they own that too. What's that shit called?
Are you talking about like controlled opposition?
Opposition, yes, exactly.
Dude, that's the trickiest. That's some tricky stuff right there, dude.
And they'll tell you the truth too, just to get you hooked in. And then before you know it, you're down an alley you never thought you'd be down.
The skill of discernment gets really tested right there.
Well put, skill.
Controlled opposition is the best test for discernment. You know what I mean?
And well put. I like that skill of discernment, because that is not an innate trait of anybody. You have to train that shit.
There's lots of people that it's like riding a unicycle as far as how they are with discernment. Most people, and it's a battle.
I can ride a unicycle.
I gotta stay on. You can?
Yeah.
No way.
It's easy. It's very similar to riding a bike with no hands. It's very similar. It's just more core focused. But yeah, it's fun. I want a unicycle now. I used to ride one all the time.
Foundationally, that's just a cool, unique thing because dude, you don't meet someone that can ride a unicycle all the time.
There's not a lot of unicycles. I think it might be the demand is lower than the supply.
And that's what's wrong with our society, bro.
There you go. All right, let's finish it out with this damn commercial, because I think it's poignant enough that it's like, it might even be symbolic enough for the ending of the episode. But so yeah, it has him. You think any of us would look back on our lives and regret the things we didn't buy? Oh, but look. Just a door opens right up into a beach island. Right? And there, I mean, even the symbology of that. Oh, no, it's an airplane flying, guys. It's an airplane flying. Okay, we can talk about what I think that is, but that's fine. Airplane flying. But yeah, dude, very interesting commercial that sat with me.
Dark wall with the yellow door, that like has like such portal type of feel to it or whatever. And he goes through that yellow door and then opens up into this. To me, it kind of makes me think of like a metaverse type of deal, like
back rooms almost.
Well, and like, a lot of people talk about how with the plane crashes and gas going up and all this stuff that they're wanting to make it, and it really seems like they're wanting to make it more difficult for people to travel. They want to try to keep people in their 15-minute cities, keep you in your little local area, and they don't want you traveling. They don't want you really flying. They don't want you driving across country. They want you kind of staying in your area. And so that kind of makes me think of like almost a predictive programming or conditioning to the fact of like, because I got kind of like a metaverse feel from like walking through that door, to where it'll probably be a big corporation like Expedia that'll like initiate like virtual travel.
You'll still pay for it too. Yes, absolutely. And you'll walk down a hall like this and you'll say, oh, I want to go to medieval times, and you can pay for that experience. Dude, that's a very good take that I never thought about. I'm sitting here thinking mole people, and I'm getting narrowed.
One of the selling points is like, instead of going to this place in today's, you can go to this place in 1840, whenever it was like this, And so like, not only can you virtually go in and doing these trips on a virtual sense, you'll be able to go in, you can play with time as well. You don't necessarily have to be locked into going in 2026, go in 1926 or whatever.
Yeah, very well put. And yeah, to your point, I think I get so lost in where I'm going with, but that was one of my main points with the whole idea of them taking away forms of travel slowly. Earlier on, I brought up Zeppelins, but those little measures of control in order to take away certain standards and impose new ones. Very much so. With all the recent news, all the train crashes, all the plane crashes, absolutely. Very well put. And I thoroughly enjoyed our first episode and our inaugural episode. And
Yeah,
is there anything
you having me, dude? That was,
of course, literally anytime, next week, next whatever, dude. Just hit me up, and I don't care how often or whatever. If it's next week, it's next week too. So don't feel too bashful. Okay, cool. Well, let's pencil it in for sure.
All right.
And, all righty, cool. So look forward to that, people. And like I said, make sure we hop in the comments for our latest guest and let them know how well he did, because that really was one of the better poignant conversations we had. And you're aware of King Richard as well too, I'm assuming, and he's been wanting to do a panel. And so the more people we get going and have conversations like this, the more we can feasibly think see
Richard,
working out.
King Richard, when he used to start flowing, like his decode flowing, and it's dude, it's unbelievable, man. Like it's just like once he pops that cap on that decode, the decode is like, wow. Again, ways and things I haven't even think about. You know what I mean? Like I like his angle on a lot of the way he decodes a certain situation.
Well, he's got the youth angle too. That's what's so good about him, is like he'll get to talking and I'll be like, oh shit, I don't even think like that anymore. I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm sitting over here like I'm the old head now. I'm sitting over here thinking like some like stern thought about it, and he's just like, oh, but look at this way, like look at what it's doing to this, and look at what the kids will think. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, duh. Right. So yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite things. Me and Austin, when we'd have him on, whenever we'd be talking after the show, it's always like, and Austin's younger than me, so if and when Austin ever comes back, we'll have so many like incremental time periods covered. And you're just slightly older than me, and you're kind of a middle ground between me and Zach, and Austin's a middle ground between me and King Richard. We only add, of course, Illegal Smile. He's much older. God bless him. I'm not putting the guy down. He's great. I need to have him on. He's kind of like falling off.
NASCAR, dude.
Yeah, he does a lot of work.
He calls in the Patreon. He gives his decode on the NASCAR race. I mean, he's legit. And I also got to throw it out there. He throws UTTV. He throws your cred a lot too. So whenever he gets NASCAR decode, he'll throw you guys on there.
I feel bad because like things have definitely fallen off the last few weeks just because my schedule's insane. I own a property, and so there's so much work to be done, whether or not it's just even mowing the fields. But I've been like building a shed add-on, building another shed. There's just so much to do in the day. I also work, and we're expecting a child too. I'm having my second son, dude. My third child.
Congratulations!
Hey, appreciate it. So yeah, we'll keep the community posted too. With what we're pretty close. We're in the third trimester just now, so we got a couple months to go, and I'll be tripled down as a dad. But a lot of things keep me busy.
You thought you were busy? You thought you were busy?
No. There can always be busy. Yeah. But
my sister, she's got 3 kids, man. I was like, I think about it all the time. I was like, man, I got 6 dogs, so like that keeps me busy enough.
There you go, dude.
3 kids, that's a lot.
Well, being a cool uncle works too. So
I like it a lot. Being I'm a funkle. I have a shirt.
There you go.
It's a funkle, is what I call it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we will stop it there. We will leave it there, and hopefully, next week, if all things go to plan, I probably even at this point want to hit up King Richard, see if he wants to hop back on too, see if we can have more of a panel discussion. It almost will be kind of like a beta version of something, whether or not, because I believe he'll want to host some as well, and then we want to start doing a live panel too. The panel has to be live, but like as far as being like a pre for sure thing, we could use this because we've yet to do a live stream. So I'm looking forward to doing live streams. But
if you need someone to hop on and like riff and go with the flow like we were talking about, man,
you're my man, because that was too easy. Also, like even if it just us alone, I think can cover a lot. There's many things, and I wish I would have written it down. In the meantime, while I get the thumbnail finished and the episode up while it's uploading, I'll try to think back and remember some of our bullet points we were talking about to have, you know, more of a deep dive into some of the topics we brought up. But if you guys,
it's really cool. It's really cool to be on here with you, man, because like I said, I watch UTTV. I watched this ever since I came across it. I think it was through Zach. This is like a while back.
Zach's been a big
first
help.
time I heard him mention UTTV, I checked y'all out, and like, dude, it's been a staple ever since. And awesome, and like, just from all the episodes I've watched of y'all and hearing certain things that you say, it's like I just so many things that you said where it's like, if I was on, if like what we're doing right now, it's like, oh man, dude, that would be so cool, or like thinking the same thing, or agreeing, or ripping off of what you have said in all these episodes. So it's kind of wild to like.
Well, I can only assume that the community will be happy to hear that you become a staple, because if first impressions were, you know, worth going off of, I would say that would be very welcome for the channel, and it only adds more for sure, because that was fantastic, dude.
I really enjoyed our conversation, man. It was really good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let us know how we did, and let us know, you know, do some homework for us. Dig into some of the points we brought up. Let us know what you wanted us to talk about next week, and we'll try to get some homework done, especially if they're in the comments earlier. He might be able to see them, and I'll be able to see them, and hopefully get some stuff together for you guys. But who knows what happens between now and next week. There's always some bullshit going on. We didn't even touch on the damn Knicks. But there's always more to talk about. So,
did you see Times Square? They touched all over the Knicks, man. There's like someone got shot.
Anyone in a Spurs jersey got touched. That's for sure.
Oh, dude, I saw that. That's wild.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Later, guys.